Today's show is brought to you by Lovable. Here we go.
We're at the halfway mark of the winter split. Let's get ready for game week 7.
Looks like Farouche is almost getting it done on the board. Should still be a draw. He's losing now suddenly.
He's throwing a thorn into the white side, holding on here for dear life. The nerves are kicking in.
He's playing with Ghost, afraid to commit.
Did he lose on time?
The clock is his worst enemy right now.
Oh, look at this. He's trapped his own king in the corner. The black rook is hit as well.
Whoa, is this a blunder?
Checkmate is coming.
Welcome to the Take studio. With us, as always, we have David Howell. And David, since last week, you have won the Chess.com Commentator of the Year award. Congratulations.
Thank you, Maud. We actually found out just after last week's Title Tuesday show, and I must admit, I've been feeling quite good about myself this last week. But it's all thanks to everyone at home who hopefully has been enjoying the past year of some fantastic chess events.
Is it kind of a curse for you that you are such a good chess commentator that you don't make as much time for playing, for participating in the Title Tuesday yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have this identity crisis sometimes. I want to be a player. I want to do as much as I can, but I also really enjoy the commentating. I figure that I'm just really, really blessed and that I get to kind of straddle both worlds. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully people at home will let me know what they want me to do this year.
and we will be watching the action here from the Take studio here in Oslo, in very snowy Oslo. And last week when we had Magnus here in the studio, he said he doesn't like the darkness and he doesn't like the cold. So he's not here. He's traveled to Spain for hopefully some warmer weather. Is that going to affect his play, do you think?
I mean, why mess with a winning routine, winning strategy? He keeps winning Title Tuesday every time he's here. So you never know. Maybe there'll be more distractions. Maybe it's harder to focus by the pool. I disagree. I think Oslo is beautiful. It's like a winter wonderland for months at a time. But he knows what works best for him.
And it's also noteworthy that Magnus, he has won when he was playing in the Team Liquid's offices in Netherlands, and he won when he was playing in Stockholm. So he's won a lot here, but he's also won a lot of Title Tuesdays in other countries.
Yeah, he's pretty decent at winning. That's the moral of the story. No matter the location, the place, the time control, he's a hard one to beat. He's going to start as the favorite again this week, I guess.
He is the favorite every week. And when we take a look at the split 2 standings, we'll see that, of course, Magnus is at the top because he has won so many of these Title Tuesdays. But Duda as well, he really capsized on the opportunity when Magnus wasn't playing during the World Rapid and Blitz. And then we also have a lot of the other big names on the top of the standings here.
Yeah, Duda, even with Magnus, did pretty decently last week with the podium finish. Vincent Keimer's been kind of moving on up in recent weeks as well. Of course, we see Hikaru, we see the likes of MVL, the more established players, but nice to see some fresher names move ahead as well. A fan favorite in 7th place.
And we are halfway through the winter split. This is game week 7, so it's becoming very important for the players to get more points. But with Magnus in the field, it's always very difficult because it's quite amazing what he's achieved in these Title Tuesdays. He has won now 7 out of the 15 that he has participated in since they changed the time format a bit in August. And 7 out of 15 Title Tuesdays, David, that is quite amazing.
It's really consistent, and that's the thing. Like, anyone is capable of winning a one-off Title Tuesday. Any of those top grandmasters, we see Hikaru win a few here and there, Alireza Fruja, but to do it so many times, to do it so convincingly. One of those was with a perfect score as well. Yeah, it's just incredible, and he's done it for so many years, Magnus. It's just, yeah, I think it's something that we can all aspire to, but in order to discover that magic, only he knows the recipe.
And what's also impressive is that he was able to win the World Rapid Championship now in December. Then he won the World Blitz Championship, and that was title number 19 and 20 throughout his career. And he's been the world number 1 since 2011, meaning for 15 years, he has been the number 1 chess player in the world. And at what point, David, are we there yet that we can say that Magnus Carlsen is the undisputed greatest chess player of all time?
Yeah, it feels like we're already at that moment now. I've been holding off as long as I can from saying that Magnus is the GOAT. There's the likes of Vishy Anand. There's also Garry Kasparov, who was world number 1 for 21 years uninterrupted. But Magnus has done it in so many formats. He's done it against ever-increasing competition, some incredible rivals. Maud, what do you think? Is it time? Is he definitely the GOAT of all GOATs?
It's so difficult to say because as you're mentioning these other names throughout history, it's so hard to compare the players when they've had like their peaks at different times, and it's difficult to compare their like top strengths to each other. But I also understand Magnus that he doesn't really want to say he hasn't finished his career yet. He's still playing, obviously. He's not retired. So he doesn't want to jinx it in the middle of his career and say, yep, I'm the greatest of all time. So he's always been very reluctant to answer this. And when he was asked about it after securing title number 20 in December, he said that that's not my focus right now. I'm still an active chess player. And then Kasparov actually saw this comment, and he had a tweet where he said that even the world champions stand on the shoulders of giants, but Magnus' view is far and unconstructed. And if you want to keep collecting world championship trophies, you don't stop to count the ones you already have. So Garry kind of saying like, Magnus needs to be focusing forwards. He still has a career ahead of him. He could still be securing more world championship titles in the near future.
Exactly. Magnus might even secure the freestyle chess, the Fischer Random World Championship in a month. It could be title number 21. But Kasparov, I think in my eyes at least, potentially because I grew up in the dominant era of Kasparov, I still see him as maybe the main rival to Magnus across history. There have been others who've held the world title for longer, but Kasparov was so dominant. In his time, though, there wasn't social media, there weren't Rapid and Blitz events, there weren't online events. So he was doing it every classical tournament, multiple tournaments a year. He was winning by a huge margin over Anand, Kramnik, Topalov, all these Ivan Shirov. So he's, I think, the only one who can have a say. And if he believes that Magnus is the GOAT, then I'm not going to argue.
Yeah, Magnus still hesitant to kind of establish himself or to say it himself that he is the greatest of all time. But I really feel like he's proving that it's not just luck, and especially when he's winning all these Title Tuesdays, because we have this format where you don't get any extra time. So you can be unlucky sometimes. You can lose on time, which Magnus did last week. He lost against Hikaru and still managed to win the entire tournament. So it feels like even though he has some hiccups, he still managed to consistently perform.
Exactly, and that's the one thing that unites all great sportsmen, sportswomen. They always bounce back. They stand up again and stronger, more determined, focused, and it's incredible. Like, he was doing it when he was young. He was a teenager. He was already up there, mingling with the best. But to do it when he's 35 years old now, he's got a family, he's got other business ventures, he's got so much going on, and to be that consistent, that determined. Yeah, it's very impressive.
It's very impressive. And we hope to hear from you guys, the viewers. What do you think? Do you think that Magnus is the greatest of all time? Or what is missing? If he isn't, what more does he need to achieve? Please let us know in the comments here on our YouTube channel, and we will keep that discussion going. I'm looking forward to hearing from Magnus. Again, we have to keep asking him because he doesn't really want to. He doesn't want to respond to it so directly. But Magnus, he's been playing a lot of Title Tuesday. It's been something he's prioritizing, and it seems to be something that he's having a lot of fun with.
Magnus is on the brink of winning in what looked like a dead drawn endgame. Hans Niemann hasn't done much wrong, but somehow it's got from slightly worse to much worse to almost dead loss now. Oh, but apparently lets it slip. Alireza Firouzja, he went too fast with his pawn. Firouzja down at 4 seconds, a queen appears, checkmate guaranteed. The advantage is switching hands. It's all about this move. Black needs to stop those pawns. Just block. There we go. There's a trophy in the background. Magnus does it. 11 out of 11.
Oh, I'm so good right now. Holy fuck, I'm good at chess right now. H4, here, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that was an absolute joke how good that was. That is a modern masterpiece.
And there we go. Queen's coming off the board. He's just a clear pawn up. And that is game over.
That might be the most interesting game I've ever played in Title Tuesday. That was fun.
It's great to see Magnus having so much fun playing these Title Tuesdays, and we can see that he's already signed up, which is quite early for him because I feel like he's always leaving it until the last minute, so this is a good sign.
Exactly. We know Magnus is in the field, Hikaru is in the field. They like to keep their opponents guessing, like by entering the last few seconds. He also does it over the board, Magnus.
Yeah,
of course.
shows up late.
Exactly. Just fashionably late, maybe that creating that aura around him, but no, he's ready to go. And like you said, those streams, it's him kind of at his most kind of uncensored, just chilling, being himself, and somehow that brings out the best chess as well.
And I'm also excited to see Caruana and Nepomniachtchi, many of the other top players. They are prioritizing Title Tuesday in what's going to be a very busy chess calendar in 2026 because there are so many events coming up. I mean, we've got the Title Tuesdays, which is a part of this Champions Chess Tour, in addition to the Speed Chess Championship and the Chess.com Global Championship. So all of that is like ongoing until May. But before that, here we see in February, we already next month have a new World Championship, FIDE approved, the Freestyle Chess World Championship.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, the love-hate relationship between FIDE and freestyle chess, but finally it's all coming together, and Magnus will definitely be focused on that one. Hikaru won't be present, controversially, but yeah, from there it goes on to the candidates, where the whole chess world is guaranteed to be watching. We'll look to see who can lead that tournament, who can emerge as the challenger for Gukesh. And then a bit of a break. Some big tournaments ongoing, of course, Norway Chess and others, but the next big one will be the Esports World Cup. Another highlight for Magnus, then the Chess Olympiad, and then more towards the end of the year, more titles at stake.
Yeah, and we've got the Total World Championship Pilot, which is going to be a tour that's going to be ongoing in 2027. So they're having like a test tournament in October. And then there's going to be the World Championship match between whoever wins the candidates and reigning champion Gukesh. And then there's going to be the World Rapid and Blitz, as always, in December. So it's a really packed year. And it's very fun that these players, they're going to be playing every single week in Titled Tuesday until May, and here we see more of these players. But other things to look forward to in 2026, we could get the youngest grandmaster ever.
That's right, Faustino Oro, he was here. Maybe people know him better as Faustino these days, but he was here in Oslo playing Title Tuesday with us last week. He met Magnus. They got on really, really well. If you want to see them play against each other for the first time ever over the board, head on over to our YouTube channel after Title Tuesday. But in the meantime, yeah, he's got 2 months to do it. What do you think, Maud? Are we going to see a new record broken?
I don't know if we'll see the record broken, but I don't doubt that Faustino will become a Grandmaster this year. It's really just a question of when. He has the 2 months, and he has 2 different open tournaments I heard that he was considering to play to try to break this record, but either way, he's focused on becoming a Grandmaster no matter what. So that's going to be very exciting. But there's not many minutes left to sign up, so let's get ready for Game Week 7.
But Hikaru makes the wrong choice, and suddenly the clock's at almost level, and he's worse. Hikaru's going to win this game. That was purely the clock. Eric shakes his head. He knows he's got no time. He gives up his knight, but maybe the wrong moment because of this check. He loses a pawn, and now the black rook has got access. There we go, Eric resigns. Magnus takes the win. Keep giving those checks. Check, check, check. Pre-move. 0, 0, 0.1, 0.0, and Faustino, no!
I'm too slow. You gotta find a trick. Mama, gaga, ooh la la.
It's a totally drawn position, but the black king is coming. Magnus in trouble. 3, 2. Oh, can he save it, Magnus? No, it's a check, and Hikaru's going to make a new queen and win the game. We see Hikaru lean back and win.
And despite that dramatic game between Hikaru and Magnus, Magnus still went on to win the tournament. So I'm sure that Hikaru is ready for some revenge. He's one of the players who signed up, and there's only a minute left right now. Which other names are standing out to you, David?
Yeah, I mean, Duda's been on a hot streak in Title Tuesdays just the last few weeks. Arjun Erigaisi, I believe, is due a big breakthrough in 2026. He's been kind of the nearly man in all different time formats over the past 12 months. And nice to see Fabiano Caruana play. I'll mention those few. Who do you think might be the dark horse to win the event, Maud?
Ooh, I think Dubov I haven't seen win Title Tuesday after they have changed the format, and he's very good at blitz chess, so I think that he could definitely be one of the contenders. And we can remind our viewers of the format here, which is 5 minutes per player, no extra time, +0. You don't get any extra seconds. So we will see players run out of time. 11 rounds, and these are the points you get for the different placements. It's getting very important to do well on the standings because this is the way to qualify for the Esports World Cup, which is Magnus's main goal in 2026, to win that again. So let's see if we get the first round draw. In the first round, they're usually playing players that are quite different levels, which always means that there's a lot of pressure on the favorites. And it also means that Magnus and others often use pretty shaky openings as their first moves.
That's right. They tend to experiment. They tend to kind of keep themselves entertained until we jump into Magnus. We see him playing a FIDE master from Turkey. It's d4 to start this game. Magnus spending quite a few seconds, so I'm wondering if there are some issues on his end. Most likely he's going to push his c-pawn forward or play the London system. There we go. Magnus magically appears as he does push his c-pawn. Will we see the Nimzo Indian defense? No, we see the Queen's Gambit declined. And Magnus does need to speed up, 30 seconds down.
But he's not chosen in a weird opening this time. I feel like this is one of the most reasonable openings I've ever seen Magnus play in the first round.
That's true. Maybe he knows his opponent and respects him. Or maybe Magnus, he just got out of bed on the wrong side and decided, okay, I just need to keep things as solid as possible in these early stages. It's one of the main lines of the exchange variation of the Queen's Gambit decline now. Magnus is better according to the evaluation bar, but a very, very well-known position. Oddly slow, though. I worry for Magnus. He normally has an advantage on the clock already.
Yeah.
This time, roles reversed.
All right. So it looks like he's having some kind of technical issues because he's looking off to the side of the board here. But he's playing a 16-year-old Turkish FIDE master, Yildiz. And Magnus, obviously the favorite, but has spent quite a lot of time on seemingly very normal moves. So let's hope that everything is in order for him.
And there we go. Magnus retreats his bishop after it was attacked. This is a very trendy move. Normally, the white bishop goes the other way back to the edge of the board to maintain some pressure. But this has become quite fashionable, this last move, in recent months. I do think, like Title Tuesday, there's something been happening over the last few months. It's just something about players. They're all becoming a lot stronger. Now in round one, Magnus facing almost a 2,700 player. That would not have been heard of in past years. Often you'd play someone a lot lower rated. So already playing an FM in round one, Magnus cannot take his foot off the pedal too much. There we see the Black King castles. And now the big question for Magnus is how to continue his development. Will he move his queen out? That tends to be one very popular move. Does he develop his knight? Which way is the White King going? You can make an argument for castling either side in these positions. He still keeps his options open. If he castles to the short side, he wants a positional battle. If he goes the other way, to the long side, he wants to throw pawns towards the Black King. And we might see more fireworks. And yeah, definitely distracted Magnus at this early stage. 2 minutes already lost off his clock, and this is still a very well-known position as he castles.
He spent 2 minutes on the most normal opening that he has played in Title Tuesday in a very long time. And the AirPods come out. It's time to concentrate. Magnus, you need to speed up. And here we do see Yıldız, the 16-year-old from Turkey, appear as well. Yeah. And he seems a bit bored. The game has been going pretty slow.
Yeah, I've always found these Queen's Gambit declines quite difficult as well. I think Yıldız is trying to just come up with a plan as he hit the white bishop, which stepped back. Now most likely he's going to try and challenge this bishop, try to trade off to at least kind of clear the board, make it easier to find a plan. But he is 40 seconds up. He needs to keep that advantage over Magnus while he can. There we go. Very slow start to the game. We see Jeffrey Zhong at the top of our screens there. He won in no time. He won in 2 minutes. Magnus had barely made any moves in that time. All
right, but we've got Magnus's face back in the direction of the game. So let's hope he starts speeding up and doesn't have any technical issues. Oh, I always hate when players do this against me, what Magnus just did here, to like really solidify a knight in the middle. And then it's never tempting to take that knight because then your opponent gets another pawn in the very center, very well protected. So it looks like the Turkish 16-year-old is instead trying to attack Magnus' center from the side.
Yeah, that tends to be a good strategy. When someone pushes pawns towards the flank, you try and counter in the center, open up lines. The White King could potentially be a bit weaker now that pawns have stepped forward in front of it. But for now, Magnus has kept everything defended. The Queen indirectly defends the pawn in the center. And given time, Magnus will bring his rook across. He'll start throwing even more pawns, potentially towards the Black King. Easy plans for White. These positions are quite hard to handle with Black. I do worry about Yıldız, who's lost most of his time advantage now. Magnus finally looking locked in.
Oh, and the time advantage disappearing. Magnus and Yıldız playing on opposite sides of the board, perhaps. So this is looking promising as a development when Magnus needs a win in the beginning. We've seen it so many times that it's really difficult to come back from a disappointing result in the first rounds for these favorites. And it also affects your tie breaks quite a bit when we reach the end of the tournament, that what players have you been playing against? And if you lose in the beginning, you get a lot weaker opponents throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I've seen Magnus lose in round 2, I believe, and still win the tournament, but it's so hard. It's an uphill struggle. And yeah, it's kind of putting yourself right up against the wall if you lose this early on. So you need to definitely lock in. Magnus, as we see, he's talking, probably streaming there, his thoughts on the game. He put some pressure on the Black Knight. I don't think he's going to take it. White's bishop is just acting as a bit of an annoyance in the Black camp. These two pieces in Black's half of the board, you kind of get this itch to kick them away. But okay, he's advancing on the other flank, Yıldız, with the kind of 4-pawn barrier here. Which ones are going to step forward? I'm expecting this one in the near future, especially the B pawn, just to kick away the White Knight and ask what it wants to do next. First, he pushes another pawn.
Ooh, and the bar reacts quite a bit to that. It's saying that Magnus is much better now after Yıldız's last move.
Oh, that was very slow. And Magnus can now jump in with his knight. There we go. Next move, he's taking the knight off and he's going to win a pawn. Sneaky knight fork. I don't think Yıldız had it in his vision, his radar, that the White Knight could use this square to attack the Black Queen last move. And this is a big pawn to win for Magnus. Knights against bishops, but the bishops have no open diagonals either. Clear advantage. He's even tempted to take the bishop first and then go and win the pawn, but nope. He sticks to the most obvious way.
Oh, and Magnus has the knight pair against the bishop pair. That's pretty rare, and usually that's an advantage for someone with the bishop pair, but right now we can see that that Yildiz's white squared bishop is really just blocked by his own pawns, while Magnus's knights, they're getting to some really nice squares. So maybe this is one of the few occurrences where the knight pair is actually better.
Exactly. I think 90% of the time I would take the bishops over the knights, but this is that's the exception, kind of gray area. It's just the bishops are so bad, especially Black's light squared bishop. Where's it going to go? Got to be careful. If you move it out the way now, ooh, Magnus could win another pawn, opening up an attack against the undefended Black rook at the top of the board. He can win a pawn, hit the queen. Maybe he wants more. There we go. He does take it. Double attack. Rook hanging, queen hanging. Something's got to give. 2 pawns up now.
Magnus is really warming up his tactical skills for this Title Tuesday, which is good. So already now in the first game, finding lots of different tactics. And he only has a minute left, but that should be enough, provided all the advantage he has. But it could go to a time scramble. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's Yildiz's best chance at this point, just to survive, go into kind of all-out defensive mode. Cling on, and try and turn it around. Young players tend to be quite quick on the mouse.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's such a tough position. I think Magnus can, there we go, just slowly start improving his pieces, bring the queen out, lift the rook up the board a bit later on, and it's going to collapse sooner or later. Defending is also hard with no time.
But it's also interesting whether or not Magnus now in Spain has a good enough setup where he has like a good mouse. Is he playing on an iPad? We've seen him do that before. So there could be certain elements here that will reveal themselves to be a problem for him when we think about the time scramble. So I'm excited to see how he handles that.
Ooh, he might not have to handle it after this move. That's a fork. 2 pieces attacked, and there
Wow.
we go. Final blunder from Yildiz, and he resigns.
Well, we were worried in the beginning that Magnus was playing a bit slow, but the chess itself seems to be, there seem to be no problems. So Magnus does get his first point, and we can also see that Hikaru, Caruana, Sindarov, and Bluebaum, some of the candidates, they are also participating today. So a lot of players taking this seriously, and we see that many of these favorites have already won their first games.
Yeah, it looks like all of those candidates at the top of your screens, they've all won. In round 1. Some surprises. Actually, Bluebaum at the bottom of the screen, just there on the left, did drop a draw in round 1. So that's the only candidate to struggle. But other than that, it looks like everything's gone according to the ratings.
And Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, he manages to win. As we mentioned, there is no increment in Title Tuesday, so he was able to get his opponent down to 0 seconds left on the clock. But now we are going to see the final moments. Pranav, one of the best chess players in the world here with 24 seconds against 11. And he's struggling on the board, to say the least.
It's mate, it's checkmate.
It's going to be checkmate.
Oh, he could have taken the pawn on h5. Pranav is in huge, huge trouble. He's gambling here. This is checkmate in the next couple of moves. The white king just has to dodge the checks. Get out of there. Oh, wait, but how do you dodge the checks without giving up your queen now? He's going to lose his queen, and oh no, game on. Pranav's back in it.
We have a game.
Yanev drops his rook. Pranav, this is a miracle. He was 1 move away from being checkmated. He turns it around and wins.
Wow. I was going to say that we didn't even need to look at this game anymore because it was so close to being checkmate. But amazingly, Pranav didn't lose hope. He sips his water as if that was no big deal. But an amazing turnaround from Pranav, who manages to then get his first point.
Yeah, you never feel like that good about yourself if you win by flagging. That was ruthless. He needed to do it. He was totally lost. There was no other option. But you always feel a bit of a sour taste in your mouth when you do that. But he's still in the race. He's still on 100%.
And we see that most of the favorites have won their first games. 1 game still ongoing, but looks like Salim Saleh will win that one as expected. And then we will see the pairings for round 2, because the other thing about Title Tuesday, and which is why I was a bit worried for Magnus if he has some kind of internet trouble or if he hasn't set up his computer in a good way, is that the rounds, they just keep going. Like there's no break until round 4 and round 8. And we can see that they really just have to, if you lose on time and then suddenly you're just paired against someone new, there is no time to recover. But which game are we going to follow now? We see that actually Hikaru is playing against Dark Knight, So we'll have to figure out who that is, because that's their chess.com username, I would assume.
It's a young FM from Kazakhstan, I believe.
Okay.
Nazar Talgatov. That's not going to be easy. Kazakhstan's been one of the countries that have boomed the most in the chess world recently, hosting some big tournaments. Kazakhstan have the women's Blitz world champion, Bibrisara Asalbayeva. This is not going to be so easy. 2850 already, the level of opposition for Hikaru. That is not going to be a walkover, for sure. Hikaru's showing a lot of respect as well with this opening. The symmetrical Grunfeld, sometimes they call it, the slow Grunfeld, with the pawns on c6 and d5. It's like a Slav defense versus a Grunfeld kind of mix, mashup here. And Hikaru showing a lot of respect with this opening choice. You tend to only play this if you want to avoid tactics.
I want to see what's Hikaru saying.
What he does. I take.
He takes, I take. It's classic Hikaru streaming chess. He really speaks exactly what he's thinking about in these games. Last week, we had such a fun moment when he was singing the Lady Gaga song against Magnus. But right now, he's focused on the chess.
Exactly, locked in with the moves. Maybe he knew we were watching. Take. Take all those pieces. But for now, very surprising to see Dark Knight spend so long over his moves. He pushes the pawn eventually. The main moves were to bring out the black bishop with either gain of tempo or to develop to another square. That's a big use of time, especially if you're facing Hikaru. You know he uses the clock as a weapon. I do think already the fact that he's 40 seconds up is a bad sign for Dark Knight, who now appears. Looks angelic more than a Dark Knight. But okay, Hikaru has the center and a small advantage.
It must be very fun for these young players to be able to play against the best chess players in the world. There are so few sports where kids can even play against professionals in any kind of way, and then to be able to do it weekly in this tournament is even cooler.
Yeah, that's why we see these 12-year-old prodigies becoming Grandmaster. They've been facing the world's best for years already. It's nice to see a great opportunity. I don't think Hikaru will be too scared, having got this position out of the opening. This last move for black is very slow. You might be wondering why at home that pawn was pushed. It's simply to bring the bishop out without fear of harassment from the white knight. That square now has been covered, but yeah, it's very passive. Black's pieces are just going to be camped out on the third rank and behind, while white has the big space advantage here. Hikaru gets his knight out the way, getting ready to develop his bishop. First, maybe he's going to bring his king forward to defend this pawn. And big, I think, positional long-term advantage here for white.
But Nazar has managed to speed up, and there isn't that much of a time difference as there was. And he's looking concentrated, but perhaps is that young David Howell playing? I was gonna say, like, there's some reminiscence of the glasses, of the hair.
I take that as a compliment. If only I was still so young. Those were the glory days. I hope he enjoys. And yeah, I do kind of see it.
Yeah.
So a nice spot from our viewers there.
And I thought it was very fun how Magnus said last week when we had Faustino here, he said, believe me, it's fun to be that good at something when you're that young. Yeah. And I was like, oh, is there anything more like inspiring and fun? And then watching these like super young kids who are super good at chess at such an early age, just performing really well. And I feel like even though Hikaru has a better position according to our evaluation bar, I feel like Dark Knight here, Nazar, he's giving him something to think about.
Definitely. He's not making it easy. Hikaru now has to decide what to do with this bishop. If he steps it back, which might be the most, or to this square, might be the most logical move. There's also fear that you might get hit by a black knight on the other side of the board. Hikaru will react by most likely moving that bishop away. There we go. And still just sitting on the material advantage. Black's knights are not fixed to any safe squares. They're potentially weak, potentially getting hit by pawns. So you can't relax. Dark Knight still has to find some resources to fight back here. All the pieces still on the board. And now he's down a full minute on the clock.
But it's suiting that he's using the knights as forward pieces when that is his username.
Exactly. He's got the black pieces. He's got the dark knights on the board dancing around. So living up to his username. But okay, Hikaru. I'm expecting him to just make kind of standard general improving moves First, he switches the queen. At some point, he'll move the rook out, maybe improve his knight. This is where Hikaru plays those typical good enough moves, which just improve his pieces, but don't necessarily commit too much. Don't trade off too deeply into the endgame. He wants to keep pieces on so that he can flag his opponent, so he can put pressure and force them to make those mistakes. One of those dark knights is gone. The other one has to be careful. There's ideas of pushing a pawn forward and trapping it. Watch out. Not many safe squares for that dark knight to get to.
And I can see that Duda and Kamer and Maxime Vacher-Lagrave, several of the best players have already secured point number 2. So many of them have been winning quite quick games, which is nice. Then you can kind of relax a little bit, don't spend all your energy. Magnus and Hikaru spent playing longer games. It requires a little bit more from them, which could cost them later in the tournament.
Oh, shake of the head from Dark Knight. That is a trapped piece on the edge of the board. No way out for it. And, he finds one way. It's going to come at the cost of a pawn, potentially. He's got to drop his knight back now. The white queen swoops in. Watch out. There's checkmate on the cards in just 2 moves. If the white knight gets 1 move to come and support its queen. So the knight jumps out the way. Double attack against the white queen. She is going to get kicked out of the black camp. But Hikaru now with a pawn advantage and doing very, very well on the board. The queen drops back. Now the question is, do you have to retreat that knight? Are there tactics in the air to save it, to preserve it? He's got no time though. 1 minute left. The knight goes back. He's a pawn down and with 2 totally stuck pieces. They just can't move. Traffic jam.
And Hikaru, he is advancing towards the king. And we can also see that Magnus, he has lost a knight, but he has passed pawns as compensation. So apparently a lot going on in that game as well. Both Hikaru and Magnus, they're having to spend some time on getting these their second points here.
And there we go. Hikaru has done most of the hard work. He's won a pawn already, so he's happy to start trading things off. That pawn structure is terrible now for black with 3 horrible looking pawns. Not just that, but if white ever pushes g5 later in the game, this bishop is dead forever. It's never going to get out, and that will spell the beginning of the end. But Hikaru has full control, stepping his rooks forward, drops his queen back. He might want to swing that piece across and pin the black bishop. At least the black bishop's got out, though.
Yeah, it's got out, but at what cost? I mean, he spent a lot of moves trying to get it out there, but now he's cemented it, which opens up for the queen to attack the king. But Hikaru, he still has to make some progress here. It doesn't seem super easy immediately.
Yeah, feels like he's playing with his food a bit. He didn't necessarily find the most direct way to win on the spot, Hikaru, but he's slowly going for it. Now there is a pin on the black bishop. There'll be a trade of queens. Hikaru won't mind that. He's going to be a pawn up in a very, very healthy looking endgame. The bishop's off the board, but there we go. Black also reminded of his backward pawn. Once that pawn drops, it's going to be like dominoes. Then another pawn drops, then another one drops. Now it's time to bring the king in. All the weaknesses in the world for the Dark Knight. This is going to be child's play for Hikaru, who's going to get the win.
And Magnus, in his game, only seconds remain for his opponent, and Magnus has 1 just now on time, so he is able to climb up to 2 points. And will Hikaru be able to do the same? Seems to have good control here in this double rook endgame, but Dark Knight has not given up. Nazar from Kazakhstan, he is still playing, and Hikaru's less than a minute left.
Yeah, if he's quick enough here, he might get some chances. He's definitely fighting well. Like if he can get 1 more move and install a rook here, maybe some chances. Hikaru is trying to force a checkmate here. He's driven the black king to the edge of the board. He's now cut it off. Oh, that spells danger. That black king, any check on it is going to be the end of the game. How to finish off. He's hoping the black king takes the pawn, removes the shelter, and then the white rook might just come back and slide around. Nasty checkmate, but Dark Knight's fighting. 11 seconds. That looks like a bluff. He's giving away all his pawns, but this one is still blockaded. No queen incoming.
And Hikaru's still trying to find a checkmate against his king. Seconds left for the young Kazakh FIDE master.
Oh, he's dropped all of his pawns now. He's 5 pawns down, but he does have 1 chance remaining this one. He's holding it with all his might, but it's blocked. 2 seconds left. Hikaru is going to trade off rooks. Dark Knight leans back. He knows that this is going to be game over on time. And there we go. The rook disappears. Game over.
And Hikaru, he had to spend some energy on that game. Here we see seconds remain for Nihal. Is he going to have time to win this?
Oh,
Or is he going to win this at all?
I think he's going to lose on time. 1 second is just not enough. Black should not trade rooks. Oh, now moving the king out. Oh, Nihal ran out of time.
Oh.
I think he just gave up hope. He knew that 1 second was not enough. He won the Blitz section in India at the Tata Steel Blitz recently, but not enough to win here against the Polish FM.
Wow. So we have some upsets already, but we do have everyone in the top 5 on the world rankings today playing. We've got Magnus, Hikaru, Caruana, Kamer, and Erigaisi. And those players, they are doing very well with 2 points, all of them so far. So the absolute favorites, they are still in the running. And we even have the next round's pairings already. And Magnus, he is playing a very talented Indian Grandmaster here in the 3rd round.
Yeah, and this is not going to be easy at all. Over 3,000, Magnus's opponent. And Magnus is therefore going to play his A-list openings. He starts with E4. I believe that this opponent, Mitraba, has beaten Magnus in the past online in Blitz, so it's not going to be easy. This is a Karo Khan defense. We've seen pawns traded off. We see a bit of a quirky variation with an early pin on the Black Knight. That has caused an exchange there, a knight for bishop, so Magnus gets the bishop pair. And just like he did in game 1 that we saw earlier, he gets the Carlsbad pawn structure, which is basically the Queen's Gambit declined. Here, just with reverse colors. Now there's a hit on his pawn, which will move, or the pawn next to it might move as well. This is a very trendy lion, and he's making it as positional as possible against these young opponents, these young, dangerous grandmasters.
And this is a very difficult opponent for Magnus already in the 3rd round here. Mitraba, he has been able to get 8 points as his best result in a Title Tuesday out of 11, which is obviously a very good result, but means that he's been just shy of the top 10 a couple of times now. But he's played a lot of Title Tuesdays, and he's 24 years old, a Grandmaster, of course, and a very high chess.com rating. So this is certainly someone who Magnus would not be comfortable playing against already in the 3rd round.
Yeah, and the position changing again. Now Magnus has allowed Black to trade off his bishop pair. One bishop has disappeared. It's just bishop for knight now, but an isolated pawn in the center of the board does give him something long-term to play against. Weakness for Black. Magnus will try to round up that pawn and win it later in the game.
You should have traded I really want bishop c2, but rook e1 and then d4 is a problem.
Okay, Magnus doesn't seem very optimistic when we're just looking at his body language and what he's saying.
It's funny, I've actually had almost this exact position from the Black side, and it tends to be very, very solid. Queen and knight work very well together. Queen and bishop also a decent duo, but the queen and the knight, somehow, something about the way the knight moves can be great attacking forces. Normally Black wants to push a pawn to g6 a bit later, move the king forward to g7, and everything's defended. It's only one weakness. Normally you need 2 weaknesses to win a game of chess. So Black here has everything covered for now. The white bishop did reach b3, as Magnus was talking about when we listened to him. But taking this pawn would result in the pawn behind the bishop dropping off. So it's not going to be easy. That would be after an exchange in the center. The Black queen doing the business. So I'm predicting here that this is going to be a long, long, hard grind. Not going to be decided in the next 15, 20 moves. It's going to be far, far beyond that.
And what is Magnus trying to achieve then? Is he trying to win the pawn in the center? Because he could have taken it, but he didn't. Yeah,
I think he's going to really slow play this. I could imagine him eventually just pushing his pawn forward, king on the light square, just kind of keeping it super safe. At some point, maybe he'll offer a trade of queens when the time is right. And yeah, it's just tough to know. Like this type of position, slightly better according to the computer, but it's all about long-term plans. And that's why Magnus is thinking he's actually lower on time. Mitraba doing well.
Oh, well.
I'm always excited to hear what is Magnus's take on the position, but sometimes just a sigh and saying, oh, well. But this is the plan that you were talking about earlier, David, and Magnus playing slowly here.
Yeah, it's hard to explain why. This is just something that I've seen top grandmasters do for years. Normally, especially if you have a light squared bishop, for example, it's nice to put your king on a light square because later your bishop can sit in front of that king and everything in your half of the board is covered. It's just nice to avoid any back rank checkmates. The king going to a dark square just felt wrong somehow. So yeah, it's one of those, it looks like absolutely nothing, but it could be important later, just easier to safeguard the king. And it's also difficult for Mitraba to find a plan. He's rock solid, but black doesn't really have anything productive to do.
Yeah, because all of his pieces are almost in the best spot they could possibly be. So what is he going to do now?
Yeah,
He moves a pawn on the side. It's almost like this hot potato game where it's just like, it's your turn. And Mitraba actually spent quite a bit of time just making this move that seemingly doesn't really do much.
Exactly, just a waiting move.
Yeah.
And if anything, it worsens the black position, I would say, because the pawns are all on light squares now. The bishop might be able to get them in the endgame long way down the line. But it's like you said, hot potato. I used to play this game. It was kind of like stop the exploding bomb. You just pass it, and eventually it blows up on someone. And that probably means in this case, whoever has the move when the clocks are really low, whoever makes the first mistake, queen's offered. And the queen exchange here. If the queens disappear, Magnus is going to take back with his pawn. But now he's fixed all of the black pawns on light squares. I think he's happy to trade queens. Then he'll bring his king in a bit later. And the black knight's going to be the defender. The white bishop's going to be the attacker. It's going to be a small but stable advantage.
5, and then queen d4. Not queen d4 immediately.
Okay, maybe was he making did he have some regrets about the way he'd done things?
I think he was quite happy. I think he was saying, okay, that's why I played g3, king g2, all this stuff before I went queen d4, because then my king is just a bit closer to the center.
Oh.
And he waited until black had put everything on light squares. This is like watching a 7-hour classical game of chess.
Yeah.
This is by far away from a blitz game.
But it's also interesting how quickly we kind of adapt, because I mean, we've spent lots of hours in our lives watching classical chess games. Even this starts to feel a little bit slow when because it's so unusual for how these blitz games usually are, which is more mistakes and blunders, and that they are lower on time. But here it's been like they've really been able to play a normal chess game here.
Yeah, exactly. And great move from Mitraba, by the way. He's threatening a check, and there's a vulnerable pawn behind the white king. Just reminding white's king that it can't come out into the open just yet. There we go. Magnus's rook has to go on the defensive. I'm expecting Mitraba at some point to maybe flick in a check, or at some point drop back with his knight. There we go. But white's rook will get access in the near future. And I saw at the top of our screens a moment ago that Duda's won his first 3 rounds.
Yeah, very quickly.
Total of 5 minutes.
Wow.
That is wild.
That is in contrast to both Magnus and Hikaru that we've been looking at the games of today. They've been taking their time, but Magnus here also has a 25-second lead on the clock, which could also be useful, as we remind our viewers again and again that they don't have any increment on their clock, so they don't get any more time. Once you've spent a second, you are never getting it back.
Yeah, and Mitraba spent more seconds than Magnus. That could be the key. His position still looks very holdable. I'm expecting, mistake there. Big mistake, apparently. There we go. He's blundered a pawn. I said he was just going to drop back his knight and just sit and wait and do nothing. But there we go. Not only is the knight now undefended, but the pawn on g5 will be undefended. He's just made a bad position worse. And Magnus has won a pawn. We know how good he is in these endgames.
Magnus is so patient. He was able to, I think if I was playing a lower rated player and I had this kind of a position, I would start to panic and think, oh, how am I not getting any advantage? Why are they not making any mistakes? And then suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, he gets the gift of a pawn, and that should be enough according to the evaluation bar.
Yeah, an undermining sacrifice, taking away the defender of the black knight at the cost of white's bishop, means Magnus is up a pawn. And it's not just any old pawn, it's a passed pawn in the center. It will later start running, defended by a very, very active king as well. But Mitraba's doing the right thing. He's trying to get active with his rook. Some targets of his own. Magnus pushes a pawn forward. Things are disappearing. It's only 3 versus 2 now.
Okay.
But that's the clincher at the end of this story here. The sting in the tail, the pawn on h5, indefensible. Magnus now 2 pawns up. That's the magic number in rook endgames. He's going to win this.
And Magnus has a very central king as well, doing an important defensive job of several of the pawns. and he looks very confident. He has more time on the clock. Should be winning.
Should be winning. But so many rook endgames, they disappear.
Yeah.
Like the advantage just evaporates in one move, so he cannot relax. In a classical game, he would win this, but now 1 minute for Magnus. Mitraba just needs to get lucky with some pre-moves, play really, really fast, but he's let the white king in now. There's an easy path to victory. The white king is going to step forward. The h-pawn is going to promote. Unstoppable. Magnus is going to get this now. And there we go. Mitraba just resigns. Magnus grinding like a grandmaster.
And he doesn't seem to react much to it. But Magnus now has 3 out of 3 points. So does Hikaru, that we see also has won his 3rd game. And it's usually around round 4, round 5 when the big players start playing each other. Here we see another promising Norwegian player, Aksel Kvaløy, who has been here in the Take studios. He has 10 seconds left. He's playing against Arjun Erigaisi. And what is happening here, David?
Oh, he should be losing. White can win the knight. I was going to say you could promote. He doesn't go for that. He's chasing the knight now with his king. Axel needs a few moves. He needs to take this pawn and run with his own pawn. But I think here, Arjun, there we go, is deflecting the black knight away. He makes a queen, and there was a pin, so the black knight couldn't deliver a check, a fork. And barring any stalemate tricks, this is over. Arjun has got too much time, too much quality to let this one slip now.
And Arjun here checkmates when Aksel Kvaløy, the very newly become a grandmaster in chess, representing Norway, but didn't stand a chance against the top 5 player, Arjun Erigaisi. All of the top 5 still with a perfect 3 out of 3. We see Caruana as well has won his game. And yeah, we're ready for the next round already. And this is when the big names really start to face off each other.
GM versus GM all across the top few boards now. We see Hikaru take on Zhumabayev, Kazakhstan's top player for many, many years. Vokidov playing Magnus Carlsen. Denis Lazovic playing David Anton, one of Spain's top grandmasters. Wow, we're sport for choice. And we jump in. It's Bortnik against one of the hotshots so far in game week 7, Duda. And it's a transposition to the French defense. Wow, this is going to be fun. 2 players with very aggressive styles.
And Duda, who's been playing very quickly today, taking into account that he only spent 5 minutes in total on his first 3 games, which all ended in victories for him. And we can tell that he kind of still has this fast pace. But Bortnik as well. Like, these are 2 very speedy players. So this is a totally different ball game than what we were just watching.
Exactly. This is going to be fun. It's going to be fast and furious. Bortnik does tend to get in a bit of time trouble these days, but he's a master at handling it. This position, it was a French defense. It was the winnower variation. And now white pushing the h-pawn forward is a very trendy computer suggestion. And black aims to chip away at the head of the white pawn chain. I'm very surprised. Normally you don't want to be sacrificing a pawn in the center. What does he have up his sleeve here, Bortnik? Is that just a pure pawn that he's given away? That's attacked twice, knight and queen. Only defended once.
Ooh.
You can take it, Duda. Ooh, but still slightly better for white. This is a weird position. Like the least blocked French defense ever.
Yeah, I feel like this often happens as well. I feel like when I have this situation against the French defense and I lose the pawns in the middle, I think, oh no, something's gone terribly wrong. But here, apparently, Bortnik is still doing very well, and he's able to pin that knight. So now he's added to the pressure in the middle. But there's a check on the king. There's going to be a pawn extra for Duda.
Yeah, so now if Duda gets 1 or 2 more moves, if he gets to bring his knight out somewhere and get castled, he's just winning, or he's just got a huge advantage. So Bortnik now has a small window of opportunity before the black king runs away to safety to strike, to do something, maybe to win the pawn back. If the white queen can move out the way, maybe the bishop comes around for this pawn later. Maybe we'll see some checks thrown in at some point. But this is very high responsibility, this type of position for Bortnik. He needs to find something here and now.
And he's spending a lot of time looking for it.
Duda's shaking his head. He just wants to win every game in the space of 1 or 2 minutes. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch. If Bortnik can put some pressure on and Duda rushes the reply, maybe this will turn in white's favor. But for now, I'm hesitant to believe the bar that it's better for white.
Yeah, because how is Bortnik going to put any pressure? I was looking at, could he advance his pawn on the side? But then you don't want to trade queens, obviously. So how is he going to make any... How is he going to prevent that king from castling?
Yeah. I'm struggling to come up with a plan as well. He's down 1 minute already and counting, Bortnik. He really, really needs to speed up. I would probably want to get my queen out of the way, as you said there, more like queen exchange is the last thing you want a pawn down in this position, especially because white's pawn structure is already a bit damaged. Even if you win a pawn back, queen trade probably not beneficial. So probably I would start looking at these two moves, but it's hard to compare, hard to know which one's better. Bortnik, just too slow.
Yeah, has he spent like 1.5 minutes on this move? And I mean, Duda looks almost bored and he's like, let me grab some water, let me do something else. He's looking away. Could there have been a disconnection or something?
Yeah.
Or is he really spending this much time thinking about a move?
I think it's a critical position, so he's definitely thinking, but this is just too much time. In Blitz, you can rarely afford a 2-minute think. He's closing in on 2 minutes now. Clocks went almost level just a few moves ago. There we go. He castles. Finally a decision.
Wow. I didn't even think of that as an option.
It does look pretty open, like the pawns on this side. Lots of air around the white king, but he wanted his rook closer towards the center. I quite like the move. Maybe c4 at some point. But okay, last moment now. He needs to do something. Much better for white, apparently. But black is just one move away from castling to safety. Pawn up still for Duda. What is the best way forward? h6. Good idea. Weakening some dark squares. What next?
And Duda keeps playing very quickly, so he's really putting the pressure on the clock now and just accepting that his king's safety is not his priority in this game. But yeah, it's a really big time advantage now, and maybe he can use that if he survives, if Bortnik can't manage to checkmate that king in time.
Yeah, I think Duda's a big favorite here. Like, for Bortnik to checkmate, he needs a lot to happen in his favor. He pushes the pawn to c4. First of all, black can castle now. I think the intended response is for the bishop to come in, attack a black rook, and then maybe sneak back and win a pawn. But so many options here for Duda. He can block the center. He can trade off first. He can move his knight into the center. If I can draw my arrows, right, there we go. He can jump into the center. Lots and lots of choice for Duda. Finally, he thinks.
Yeah, he's finally realizing some of the danger in the position. And his center is under attack. And it's not so easy to maintain the position right now for Duda. He has to make some decision. And he decides to develop his bishop. Maybe he's opening for the possibility to escape to the other side of the board with his king, just as Bortnik did. But that cost him some time.
Yeah, it cost him some time, but it's also won him some thinking time on Bortnik's clock now. That is the type of move that Magnus loves, like super flexible. You keep options of castling open. You keep your opponent guessing. So Duda, very good practical player. And this last move, I think, a mistake from Bortnik. The bishop is attacked now by queen and knight. If the bishop moves out the way, queen trade.
Ooh.
Duda's going to survive and go into the endgame. A pawn up and 2 minutes up.
Wow. He managed to survive that situation. And yeah, now it looks really promising for Duda. I'm surprised that the evaluation bar isn't even more in his favor.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it swing in black's favor very, very shortly. Maybe some counterplay with the bishops, but there we go already now saying advantage black, the computer. The knight is hit. The knight can move, however. You've got multiple safe squares. Wherever he goes, Duda should be winning this game now, especially because of the clock situation. And the black bishop has a beautiful outpost to sit on in the next few moves once the knight has found its way to safety. Goes round. Bortnik's going to be kicking himself. I can just imagine him saying on his stream,
Yeah.
too slow, too slow.
Oh. And what was a very promising opening for him, where he was sacrificing a pawn. It was probably something he was enjoying, and then he just couldn't find the critical moves that were going to punish Duda's greediness of grabbing that extra pawn in the opening. And Duda, he seems to be very chill today, and he's playing very quickly. He seems to have a lot of confidence. He's doing so well on the standings as well for split 2. He was in second place before today, and as you said, he had a podium finish the previous 2 weeks. So he's taking Title Tuesday very seriously, and he's doing very well.
Yeah, he will want to be at the Esports World Cup later this year. He sidestepped some of the biggest classical tournaments of 2025, wanting to kind of recover, take some time for himself, prioritize his focus, his freshness. But now it does look like Duda's refreshed, and there's a pawn up for grabs if he wants it. He's calculating if that's possible. Will the white rooks, maybe this one, swing over? He doesn't want any of that funny business. He's just making moves. 27 seconds. Bortnik's just no chance he completes this game,
Yeah.
barring a huge blunder now from Duda.
But I've also seen Bortnik with like seconds left on the clock. He's very tricky and sneaky. And he's made, there have been miracles for Bortnik before when he has very little time, because then he kind of just starts going into a different mode. Instead of looking for the best moves, he's just trying to trick his opponent. So I can tell that Duda is actually taking this game quite seriously still, spending some time, leaning forward. He still hasn't cashed in the victory just yet.
Yeah, not yet. And maybe that's Bortnik's best chance, that Duda gets a bit nervous.
Yeah.
Even if the time never kind of catches up, maybe a blunder, and Bortnik will be right back in it. We see some piece exchanges. Blitz, bullet mode now for Bortnik as he puts his bishop on a well-defended square. Still a pawn up for black. The knight isn't really doing much at the moment, though. That's the one thing. The knight doesn't find any good squares. And okay, now he's aiming to play on that queen side. Maybe it's found a good square on the edge of the board. Counterintuitive, and oh, now the pawns are rolling. He's walked into an X-ray here. Something's dropping. Bishop takes pawn, discovered check. The bishop's falling. Piece up now for Duda. 55 seconds is enough. Oh, nice check to keep everything protected. The king's actually trapped. Will we see a checkmate in the next few moves?
And Magnus as well has gotten his 4th point, has a perfect 4 out of 4 score. Will Duda be able to join him? It looks very promising for that right now. He has an extra piece, has extra pawns, has 30 more seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
In Duda's longest game of the day so far.
Yeah, this game alone is going to be almost double the length of all of the rest of his games combined. But he's closed the mating net. This is actually going to be a beautiful pawn checkmate next move. And there we go. Duda gets the win.
Wow, and we jump into the final seconds of Hikaru's game, where he is struggling massively with 5 seconds left on the clock in a losing position.
Wow, he's 2 pawns down, 5 seconds. This is beautiful. Zhumabayev is a giant slayer. He's well known for beating higher rated opponents, but this is easy. He's going to bring his king in. At some point, the black king is going to make a dart in for the white rook. 3 seconds for Hikaru.
He hasn't given up.
Hasn't given up, but a new queen's about to be born. The bishop is pinned. Hikaru loses his bishop. 1 second. Running out of time. No hope left. Check. Barring a disconnection, it's over. A new queen is born, and Zhumabayev with the fist pump.
Wow. Hikaru has lost his first game of the day just before we head into the break after round 4. So that's a disappointing thing to take with him into this little break. And we see that Pranesh is still playing against Svane. But yeah, let's see who's still in the top. I'm noticing as well that Elham Amar from Norway, go Team Norway, also has a perfect 4 out of 4, which could be interesting when we look at the country standings. Ooh, Norway in a 9th place, but the US, India, Germany, there's a lot of these countries that are always doing well week after week after week.
This is the first time I've ever seen England in the top 20. 20th place, let's go, England!
But who's doing well for England right now? David, you have to figure this out.
Oh,
because I feel like it's... In Norway, we have Magnus, and now we have Elham, but it's also about not only just how many players do you have playing, but it's the top 3, 4, or 5 players total points that are contributing to these country standings. So that would be interesting to know. Who are the British players that are doing well right now?
Oh, Simon Williams, Ginger GM. He's playing a lot of younger players. England have a new generation coming up in their teens who I think have a lot of potential. So nice to see more representation this week. Long may it continue.
And the players are now going to have a short break, so we're going to sum up the action so far. And we can also take a look at one of the highlights from the day so far, which came in the form of Hikaru playing against the very young FIDE master Nazar Taglatov from Kazakhstan.
Yeah, and this was a game where the Dark Knight, his online handle, was jumping about with his knight, But ultimately, with this next couple of trades, the bishops coming off the board first of all, and then the knights disappearing, this became a very one-sided battle. Hikaru had already won a pawn by this stage, and the black structure here, just horrible, unfortunately. 3 doubled or isolated pawns, and it was a matter of time as well before Hikaru was able to trade things off and win a very convincing game. Hikaru may have won that one, but he did drop a point just before the break.
Against his another Kazakhstani chess player, Yumabayev, who we see at the very top here at the left side, who won against Hikaru, who was able to get some revenge for Team Kazakhstan. And how are they doing on the country standings? 6th place.
Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, I'm telling you, that's where it's at. Like, Uzbekistan, of course, for years they've been established, won an Olympiad, but Kazakhstan, it's those nations, moving on up in the world. Nice to see chess really booming over there.
And young players is always the key to like chess being on the rise in some of these countries, and they have a lot of young talents. And last week we were visited by Faustino Oro, who could become the youngest grandmaster in chess history if he's able to get one of his last Grandmaster norm in an open tournament in the next 2 months. He will win that title. And he did play against Magnus, and we have a video of that on YouTube.
There's tension now between the bishops. Faustino captures a black bishop, but given the thumbs down, not a good move. He should have probably taken that knight in the center, just calmly taken it back with his bishop. Magnus pausing. The obvious move would be to take back that bishop, but does he have something better up his sleeve? And he reaches for his knight, and it's a Zwischenzug, sacrifice, a brilliant move. We saw the double exclamation marks appear there. The white queen was attacked. If the knight had been captured, then black would have taken back the white bishop on d7 with a slightly better pawn structure. We see that happen anyway. Faustino is going to take back that black knight with his queen instead. And the dust has settled finally. Level material after a bit of a tactical mess there.
And you can see how that game ended on the Take YouTube channel. And I think these images, we might look back on these 20 years later. You know those clips where Magnus is playing against Kasparov and he seems a little bit bored and he's like wandering around? Like, those have become a part of chess history. This could also become chess history in the future.
Exactly. Magnus, when he was 13 years old, holding the world #1. Now Faustino, 12 years old, playing the world #1. I'm not sure about 20 years. I mean, Gukesh became world champion at 18. Faustino, maybe even in the next decade, could be right up there, replacing the likes of Magnus. So, it was nice to get front row seats to history.
And you also got to play against Faustino, David. You were kind of like, ooh, I hope I get to play. I've never seen you so starstruck before in real life.
You know, we finished Title Tuesday and he was already out of the office. They were heading to the chess pub in Oslo. He was with his dad. So, I rushed down there, what can I say? And I kind of recruited you as a photographer, recruited some people to film. It was really fun. And he's very good at Blitz.
Yeah. And it's always so fun, like in recent years, to see these top chess players when they're like very small. Like the picture of, I think it's Abdusattorov or Sindarov with Magnus. And then years later, they're playing in the final for the World Blitz Championship title. So I love these kinds of pictures to look back and reminisce on. And we have a lot of top players playing today. Just as we said that, some of them are out of the picture, but they should be getting back because very soon the round is starting. So Magnus is the only one missing. We've got Hikaru, Caruana, Nepomniachtchi, and Magnus Carlsen. It's not every day that every single one of like the top guys is playing.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. Earlier we showed the chess calendar for 2026, the highlights. A lot of those happen later in the year. It's still just January. The players are still kind of maybe recovering from the holidays, recovering from a really busy 2025. So it's nice to see them all prioritize Title Tuesday this time around.
And the next round has been drawn. We can see that Magnus Carlsen, he is playing against Alexei Sarana, who's also done very well in Title Tuesdays, historically, has won the tournament lots of times. But from what I'm familiar with, he hasn't won after they changed the time format to be 5 minutes and no increment. So it will be exciting to see how he will handle his biggest challenge yet so far, which is playing against Magnus. But Magnus hasn't showed up. So I'm worried that he will, the clocks should be starting very soon.
Yeah, it's Magnus's wardrobe.
He's running, he's running back. He made it to the board on time. Oh, but he's lost 30 seconds.
Oh, classic Magnus.
Oh, gosh.
I swear he does this on purpose, just to give the opponent some hope. We see Magnus eventually start with the English opening. That means pushing his c-pawn forward. And then now the fianchetto. And this is very rare, this last move, bringing the knight out from Sorana. It's kind of a queen's gambit declined, but kind of not. And Magnus, yeah, how often do we see him do this, though? Like, it's as if he activates God mode only after giving the opponent a bit of a handicap.
It's the Magnus gambit of giving away 30 seconds for no apparent reason other than psychological warfare. And let's see now how the opening progresses. It looks like he's settling into the fact that he is in the middle of a tournament again now.
Yeah, and there we go. Alexei Sorana, after a trade of pawns in the center, now offering a trade of knights. And Magnus, although he isn't occupying the center too much, he's going for what we call hyper-modern chess, with both bishops fianchettoed on the long diagonals. He's going to try and apply pressure from afar, and he's extremely flexible. Magnus, at some point, could push the e-pawn forward, the d-pawn forward. Maybe we'll see a minority attack of these two little foot soldiers on the left side push. There we go, already with a3 prepares to gain a bit of space on this side of the board. Magnus is just trying to stay as compact and versatile as possible in these early stages.
Okay, I was trying to hear what Magnus was saying there, but let's let the chess speak for itself for the time being. And Magnus, he has been able to adjust his tempo a bit, but I also feel like Sorana, he's using the fact that Magnus was 30 seconds late to the match. He hasn't let that advantage slip, so he's been keeping up the pressure on the clock.
Yeah, and Sorana is a really interesting player. With white, he's extremely ambitious. With black, he's much more solid. He just tries to shut things down, and Magnus made a bit of a face because he knows the bishop pair is about to disappear. It's going to be queen and knight versus queen and bishop again. We saw him grind that down in a previous round. But he doesn't look too thrilled. Here, black has got 0 weaknesses. This wall of pawns totally blunting the white bishop. And yeah, this just looks like a very level position. Slightly better according to the eval bar, but Magnus, he will need to squeeze water out of this stone.
Everybody knows that late Magnus is even stronger than on-time Magnus, I guess, according to our viewers. And the other discussion that's going on today in our comment field is whether or not Magnus, can we say now that he is the greatest chess player of all time? He's won 20 World Championship titles. He's been #1 for 15 years. He doesn't want to say it himself for obvious reasons, and he hasn't retired yet, but can we say that he is the greatest of all time throughout history?
Yeah, there's many arguments to be made for it. You just need to look at his CV, all of his tournament wins. But I guess against it, he was never as dominant in classical chess as Kasparov was. For example, back in the day, Kasparov winning almost every tournament for 10, 15 years. And Magnus, his World Championship matches may be less one-sided than some of Kasparov's. But yeah, in Blitz Rapid, undisputed GOAT already for sure. Interesting to see what everyone at home is saying, though, as well, as we see Magnus push his pawn forward to b6. This is quite high risk from the world #1. He supported that pawn with his queen, with his rook, and he's kind of cut the black queen side in half. Black has a rook and a queen that would love to protect each other, pawns that would love to protect each other, but everything is kind of just lost coordination due to the presence of this white pawn. And Magnus, I think, will be gaining in confidence now.
Yeah, 97. Kind of semi-hoping he wouldn't do that.
Just as we say, he's getting some confidence. He did predict a good move from Sorana there. So, and Sorana has still maintained this 30-second lead that he's had throughout the entire game. So I feel like he certainly hasn't given up hope, and he's putting pressure on Magnus's pawn. How is Magnus going to defend it?
Yeah, I don't think Magnus can defend it anymore. It's attacked 3 times. No way to add protection to it. The way Magnus might get compensation is either to take a pawn in the center, although doubled pawns there for white wouldn't be too healthy, or, as I was about to say, this move, with some pins up the sleeve. I don't really see what he's doing now, though. We'll see a rook exchange. Sorana does have everything covered. Maybe a trade of rooks now, and then the black rook getting out of the pin from this bishop. It's too uncomfortable, that diagonal. He's going to defend everything, Sorana. And I think he should be able to hold this game, especially with his time advantage. But this is the stage where Magnus tends to up the gears, kind of up his level. Oof, this might be the first time Magnus drops points, I would say. But I've said that before and been wrong.
Yeah. And Serrano actually spending quite a bit of time now. For the first time, he doesn't have that 30-second lead. It's been reduced by a couple of seconds. And it's now Magnus's turn to figure out what pieces need to be traded off here to give him the best chances. But he is a pawn down, and he doesn't look too hopeful.
Rook b6, no, it doesn't work. So we're gonna go for this.
I feel like that kind of mumblingness. He trades the queens of all the pieces he could trade. So I don't know if I could read that Magnus is not too happy with how the game is developing.
Yeah, this is an endgame, and Magnus normally thrives there, but it's also quite a forceful endgame where we will see some quick exchanges. The only way to win this pawn, for example, will be to trade off the bishop for knight. I'm expecting the black king to start centralizing soon. Magnus's structure is not good. These white pawns are all weak on the left half of the board. So yeah, that combined with the clock situation means that Magnus probably would be happy with the draw here. Of course, he'll try for more, but he won't be able to push this too hard. Serrano doing everything right, just totally neutralizing Magnus so far.
Yeah, and we've also seen that Magnus, sometimes he isn't completely objective in the way when he's trying to consider draws like early on in the tournament, because he always has this goal of 11 out of 11 in the back of his mind. So he can sometimes struggle to kind of accept the fact that a game early on, as early as round 5, could be a draw. But right now they're trading off pawns into a rook endgame, so I guess he must be kind of realizing what's about to happen here.
He knows that this is a dead draw with best play, especially if the 2 pawns on this left side ever disappear. Magnus is keeping them alive for now, because if the black rook ever gets deflected, distracted, then there's some chances. Magnus is the only player in the world capable of winning a position like this, but it's so drawn right now, and Serrano is just going to happily sit with his king, and he's going to push his pawn forward, and how's Magnus going to make any progress? The black rook is just a fantastic guardian, keeping white's pieces tied down. Dead drawn position, but suddenly the clock. Suddenly Magnus might put his rook on a square like this one. There we go, defending everything and march his king over. Oh no, we've seen Magnus win this type of thing before. Serrano, what have you done?
Oh, and they're both down to around a minute. Do you think Magnus would go for a flagging method here in this situation?
He will try. He will definitely try.
Ooh, and Arjun Erigaisi wins again and now has a perfect 5 out of 5 score. Not that Magnus is paying attention to that because he needs to be focused on this game. But if Magnus doesn't win, then Erigaisi will be in the lead alone.
Ooh, big moment for Magnus. This was the key move for Serrano to get rid of the white pawn. And now it's a total dead draw, total symmetry. And Magnus is a few seconds down, so I think he should bail out. He should try and get this game drawn here and now, but he's blundered. He's allowed the black pieces to come in. Magnus's king was too far away.
What?
He's losing his pawns.
Oh, let's hear his reaction.
That was completely and utterly unnecessary.
Wow. Magnus is lost. The rook will cut off the white king.
Oh, my
black
goodness.
King is moving out the way. This g-pawn's going to decide the game. This is going to end up in the very well-known Lucina position.
And it usually goes the other way. I feel like I'm not used to seeing Magnus in this situation.
Yeah, he said it was unnecessary. He pushed a little bit too hard. If he just tried to repeat the position 3 moves earlier, it would have been a dead draw. Serrano would have loved that. But Magnus is about to resign, and there we go.
Trying to win. As though, like, even trying to win, I was just kind of even going through the motions. And here, yeah, it's lost. Repeat.
Okay, so it seems like he isn't taking the loss too badly, but that was very surprising and kind of out of nowhere. And suddenly, Magnus falls down to an 11th place. He's falling further down as more players win their games. And look at all these players with a perfect 5 out of 5. We've got Terry, Duda, Erigaisi, and Serrano, Minle. Like, it's going to be a lot to catch up to now for Magnus.
Yeah, he's been here before. He's done it before, but it's definitely going to be difficult. Yeah, Magnus not caring that much, losing an endgame like that. In the past, we would have seen him like banging tables, shaking his head, cursing. But yeah, I think the positive is that he's still focused. He'll still try and win the rest, and he's not too down about it. The negative is, yeah, maybe he's not as hungry as he was. Not that endgame skill deserting him just for a few moves there.
Yeah, that's what it's like when he's sitting in Spain with beautiful weather, maybe going swimming in a pool. Yeah, maybe he needs to be motivated by having nothing else in the day and the darkness and the cold in Norway that he was criticizing last week. Maybe he would have needed that. But anyways, we see now that some of the players with the perfect scores so far, Sarana versus Duda, we've got Arjun versus Sindarov, so many fun games to choose from. But I am noticing now that Hikaru, Magnus, Caruana, there are several of like the top guys right now who no longer have the perfect score. So it's really opened up the possibilities. It could be anybody's game right now. So it's going to be exciting to see as we approach round 6, the halfway mark of this game week 7.
And we jump in to some of the most impressive players so far in this game week. It is the Tarash variation of the Queen's Gambit declined. And we saw a quick flurry of tactics there. The Black Queen came out to check the king and to win back a piece that had been sacrificed earlier. This is still very well-known theory. And instead of the main move, which is the white pawn stepping forward to e3, the white queen coming out. I've never seen this before from anyone at the top level, but Sarana plays it and has forced Duda to think now. So it's the first time we've seen Duda behind on the clock. So far today, he's been super speedy, super strong. But the rook is coming to harass the Black Queen, to hit the knight behind it. And Black does have an isolated pawn, so I'm liking Sarana's opening choice, especially if he's prepared here. He's so dangerous with white.
Yeah, and he seems prepared because look at how much time Duda is spending. I mean, usually he is just blitzing out moves in the opening. This is one of the first times, I think, in the entire day today that I've seen Duda not be leading on time after the opening.
Yeah, and okay, already making some small mistakes. Dropping his queen back, but now his queen got hit, his knight got hit, and he's dropping a pawn in the center. Something has gone wrong for Duda. I'm expecting the white knight to just go and grab that pawn. It can be cemented next move by his own pawn in the center. Material advantage for Sarana. He's got everything he could have dreamed of from this opening. Maybe just considering whether to attack the Black Queen first. That could be a fancy move to throw in. Looking very, very good. And I guess you gain confidence beating Magnus Carlsen, right?
But I'm also feeling like Sarana in that previous game against Magnus, he was leading with the pawn, and then he actually managed to notice the moment when Magnus messed up. I mean, there's also several times where Magnus does this, but players kind of, they just assume that Magnus, he would never make such a big mistake. You kind of trust your opponent too much. So the fact that he even picked up on it with less than a minute on his clock was very impressive. And now he's in the lead. He's playing against Duda. He knows that this is a very good opportunity. Should he trade queens here?
Yeah, I think he will want to trade on his own terms. Taking the queen would allow a black knight to centralize, so maybe he'll say, okay, we can trade the queens if you want, but I'll develop. There we go. First of all, so now he'll get a very strong knight in the center if Duda does capture. Duda had to trade queens. The black king otherwise might have been vulnerable in the center, and a mistake. The white bishops are going to be super strong in a moment on these diagonals. The rooks are going to come into the action first, though. Duda in big trouble. Level material, but the bishops are super strong for white.
Wow. And Sarana, he has won Title Tuesday so many times when they had the old format of having 3 minutes and then an additional 2 seconds for every move you play. But if he can manage to win right now, that would be very important for him when we look at the standings for this split 2. You get 10 points for winning, which would actually send you into the top 10, just that on its own, because there are so many different players participating every week and getting...
Like gold dust at this point. All the top players want it. That's why they're all playing this week at Title Tuesday. All of those top 5 players here in action. And here we see Sarana dropping his bishop back. Duda desperately trying to trade pieces, but that's not going to guarantee safety. Again, white's bishops are just so strong. The black knight is now totally stuck on this side of the board. I wouldn't be surprised to see a pawn come up to push that piece away as well. And what's black even doing? I don't really see a plan here. Sarana's just going to start pushing everything forward as well. The bishops are dominating this board.
Yeah, so here we actually see a case of the bishop pair being a very big advantage. And we can also notice that nobody is trading off any rooks for now. Like you were mentioning with the previous trading situation, David, you kind of want to be the person who accepts the trade so that your piece ends up on the good square. And so there's like a waiting game between these two rooks that are just staring at each other infinitely.
Yeah, that's exactly the key point to this position. The rooks, neither side wants to blink. And if Duda's reduced to making waiting moves like this one, yes, it gets the Black King some breathing space, no back rank checkmates, but it doesn't really change much. Then yeah, Serrano can start pushing happily his pawns forward. The reason I suggest here is because you want to remind Black that he's vulnerable on this diagonal, as well as the other diagonal. Bishops are so good at looking both sides of the board, and on both sides you're weaker. Serrano does Russia though a bit, does trade rooks in order to hit the Black Bishop. He's going to come forward next and hit the Knight as well. He's not going to stop there. I'm expecting Duda to offer a trade, which Serrano should dodge. That did feel a bit rushed. Can he keep his advantage here? He's very direct, Serrano, as a player. He's always playing the most kind of straightforward moves, the most straightforward variations. Doesn't like to wait around and maneuver. So it is kind of true to character. But there we go. He has to keep the bishop pair alive. But this white bishop no longer as impressive as it earlier was.
And Serrano's also being mindful of keeping his time advantage, as we saw he also was with Magnus. It feels like whenever he gets like a 30-second lead, he really clams onto it and tries to keep it as like a trick up his sleeve when they are approaching the time scramble towards the end. Then it's nice to have an extra 30 seconds. So he's keeping pace with Duda here.
Yeah, keeping pace. That's a great defensive move from Duda. White wanted to push a pawn forward, go pawn hunting with his own rook. But Black's rook has ideas of its own, hitting the white bishop right now. So the status quo just about being maintained. Serrano here wants to avoid ever having to trade off his A pawn. That is the potential winner, potential queen. Oh, he trades off the knight. He's got a better structure now, but I don't know. The lack of bishop pair. He could have done this any time later. There was no need to rush.
The good thing for Serrano, if he is hunting for the win, is that the bishops are on the same color. So that increases the chances of winning, and he does have a better pawn structure. But yeah, now it feels like it's a little bit easier for Duda because that knight was really the problem in his position, and now he's kind of gotten rid of that issue.
Yeah, I felt like he tried to cash in just a little bit too early. And even if he can win a pawn, for example, the bishops come off, and let's say Black's 2 pawns disappear for White's 1 pawn on the edge of the board, then if it's just pure rooks, it's still a drawn endgame.
Ooh, and look at the clocks as well. Now it's actually Serrano who has less time. He's spending too much time here. I would be worried against Duda, who's really good at blitz chess, bullet chess, online chess, and making really quick moves. Ooh.
Yeah, it feels like Serrano's lost the thread a bit. And sometimes, I mean, he did everything perfectly up until the moment he took that black knight. Sometimes you just need to keep pieces on the board and just move. Keep the pressure, and hope your opponent eventually falters. There we go, pawns disappearing. This is suddenly looking like a very holdable endgame. White's rook is very passive. Black's rook is the one tying it down. And Duda's done everything right so far.
Oh, and instead of trading off pawns there, actually Serrano decides to make a passed pawn. But how is he going to make any progress now?
Yeah, I don't like Duda allowing this passed pawn. I think he could have kept his pawn a little bit further back. On f6, for example. The way White eventually wins this is to take a bit of a risk and to go round for this pawn, make it 2 versus 0 on the king side, or to walk around with his king.
Oh.
And he's going for it.
So Serrano, he still has ambitions of winning this game. He's down to less than a minute. So is Duda, who now needs to react to this very obvious threat that is incoming. And he's just been moving his rook back and forth.
Yeah, but now the white rook gets in. Oh, big loss of time from Duda, who's allowed the white rook to get in and behind and round. It's going to be 2 connected pawns for White. Black's 2 pawns on the other side are going to be so slow at marching in comparison. The king's coming too. This is suddenly over.
Wow. Just like in the game with Magnus as well. It was like there was suddenly someone just flipped a switch and suddenly Serrano was winning and he pounced on that opportunity immediately.
He loves his rook endgames.
Yeah.
Beating Magnus and now beating Duda in a rook endgame. The white pawn's clearly the more dangerous of the pair. The white rook stops the black pawn. And there we go. Not much to do here for Duda. He resigns.
Wow.
Serrano still on 100%.
Amazing performance by him so far with a perfect 6 out of 6. We can watch the final seconds of Magnus's game. It's very even according to the evaluation bar, but they're both down to around 30 seconds each. What do you think, David?
Oh, it should be a draw. It's exactly what you said earlier, Maud. Opposite color bishops. And Magnus now trading the queens off willingly. He's trying to imbalance it here. This is so drawn, though. It's just got to be a flagging battle. Magnus is trying to win on time.
And he has some extra seconds.
Oh, he's going to win a pawn, though. That white pawn now, a step too far forward. There we go. He's going to be 2 pawns up. Okay, Magnus here has to just move around forever for 49 moves and then play f6. Oh, I'm surprised he played it that quickly.
Oh, no. Oh, but he played another move.
Oh, he mistimed it. His opponent had too much time.
Oh, no.
Magnus rushed. Now he's only got 1 waiting move up his sleeve, f5. He's got to try and catch that white bishop on a loose square. You have to hunt it down. Look at Klukin, also streaming. 6 seconds. This is such a dead draw. Magnus is trying to be merciless here.
No, I don't. He's not threatening this anymore. Okay, I am just out of my mind. Maybe bishop c5 and then knight a4.
Oh, and there we go.
Oh, no. And look at Klukin. He is celebrating. He is very happy about this.
Твою мать!
And Magnus also actually in a good mood. They knew that was an interesting flagging battle where they were both trying to make as many moves as quickly as possible. And Klukin, look at him. It looks like he's won a world championship if we look at his reaction right there.
We have the new GOAT. It's not Magnus, it's Klukin. Well, really well played in that endgame to hold the draw. I think many people would have cracked and lost their bishop or got impatient. Magnus's flagging skills, maybe not the best there. He kind of pushed f6. He didn't need to. He could make 49 moves and then push it.
Yeah.
And then 49 more moves, then push it again. But yeah, I don't think Magnus is as experienced in these kind of online flagging battles as some others. So yeah, maybe half a point missed.
And I also remember Magnus was kind of apologizing for doing this against Grishuk in the last round when he was playing from Stockholm. Like, he didn't really want to win in this way. And it kind of feels like Magnus, he doesn't respect those flaggy wins as much as he respects the game of chess. Yeah, maybe it's hindering him a little bit. Maybe he needs to work on that skill a little bit more. But instead, let's watch the 8th round. We've got Caruana, who is at 5.5 points. So he's definitely up there against Renato Terry, who has a perfect 6 out of 6. So this could be very important for determining who's going to win the tournament.
Yeah, and going to be a very interesting game here. It started life as a French defense. And yeah, we see some exchanges early on. We see white with an isolated pawn in the center. That is going to be a bit of a target maybe for the black pieces. But for now, it's doing a great job of clamping down, I was going to say, in front of a backward pawn for black, which has stepped forward. And rather than white's isolated pawn, it's now this one in the center that could be targeted. Renato Terry, the strongest IM in the world, I'm going to call him. He has broken out, and he's very, very experienced in these French defenses. So the black queen needs to come out, the black bishop needs to develop. But long-term, Fabiano, probably with a bit of confidence, hoping he'll play against the weakness in the center.
And Fabiano Caruana, he doesn't play in these Title Tuesdays every single week. He kind of shows up when he has time. And his best placement is, in fact, a 6th place in the first split. So he would love to have a tournament victory at some point. And this could be one of the first opportunities he's had, because right now, Magnus, he's already lost 1.5 points. And Caruana, he's playing against the guy who's leading the whole thing. So if he could win this, he would be in a very good shape before the last couple of rounds.
Exactly. And of course, Fabiano is going to be playing at the Candidates Tournament. That's going to be a big focus. But the Esports World Cup last year for him, I think very lucrative. He was part of Team Liquid alongside Magnus Carlsen. He'll want to be at the Esports World Cup, so he needs to start motoring in these Title Tuesdays. This position, better for white, but visually, I was going to say, it did look scary for a second. There was a hit on the white bishop. There were ideas of sacrifices around the white king. No longer possible, because Fabiano has gained time against this bishop, which most likely steps back. But there we go. Now Fabiano has time to bring his own bishop out, his queen out. He gives a check, actually, instead.
And he's playing really quick moves. I mean, he's playing against Terry, who has a reputation of being very fast, but Caruana here almost a minute extra after the opening. And he also did well in the World Blitz Championship, making it all the way to the semifinals, losing against Magnus Carlsen in a match, which of course is a very difficult thing. But he did then get a tied 3rd place in the World Blitz. And I feel like Caruana, he's previously had like a reputation of not being as good in these quicker formats, but with recent years, he's starting to prove himself as like a top competitor in fast chess.
Yeah, he's got a lot more kind of comfortable with trusting his instincts. I think that's the big thing about Fabiano. He knows he cannot control every game like he can in Classical with great opening prep, great calculation. He's happy to go with the flow and mix things up, and he's had a decent track record in Blitz recently. So I wouldn't rule him out of Tidal Tuesday, especially if he wins this game. But for now, it's looking awkward for Black slightly. I'm not sure exactly what White should do. The obvious moves would be to slide the rook across to an open file or maybe towards the center. That's the only piece that's not doing anything. I was going to say, equally tempting would be to hit this rook and to try and gain a bit of time to sneak in and hit the other rook. But suddenly it becomes a bit more complicated as we see Renato Terry shaking his head. Not happy either with his chances.
Let's hear what he says.
Me salí un poco de cuadro aquí. Ahora por E4 no existe.
Okay, something number 4 doesn't exist. I'm not perfect at Spanish, but it's interesting as well that he's choosing to stream and also doing quite well while he's streaming. Some of the players, they are like, it's kind of like therapy for them to be talking about their moves so that they can air those thoughts. And he's doing very well with a perfect 6 out of 6 so far, Renato Terry.
And a slightly better position. That bishop hit on the white queen was a very important move to get the black rook into the center with gain of time. Fabiano missed that one, I think. And I want to praise your Spanish Maud, because you were right. He was, I think, saying rook takes e4 doesn't exist as an option. It wasn't a good move there, giving up the exchange. He found something better instead, and now much better. Renato Terry, what should he be doing? Is it just going to be a capture of this bishop to create a weak pawn for white? Maybe you'll go after that pawn a bit later. I like the idea as well of tucking the black bishop back next to its king. In Blitz, that works very well. Just you avoid any back rank checkmates. Maybe now, for example. And you just keep everything super solid and play with the rest of your pieces. He saves the pawn instead. The b pawn was hanging.
And we see that Pranav, he is up a piece. He is aiming for a 6 out of 7 score. And the other player with a perfect 6 out of 6 right now, that is Yakovir Sindarov, who is playing against Alexei Sorana, who's beaten both Magnus and Duda very recently in the last 2 rounds. So he's really on a roll. And we'll see then which of these 3 players, Sorana, Sindarov, and potentially Terry, will any of them have a perfect score? Because after they redid the format and changed to only having 5-minute games without any increment, it's only been Magnus who's done the perfect 11 out of 11. But today we have 3 new contenders.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's quite rare to have this many people still on 100% this late into the tournament. Normally it's just 1 maybe. So for the likes of Terry, this could be a golden opportunity. Fabiano's definitely misplayed it over the last few moves. This pawn is surprisingly hard to defend. The white queen is already tied down defending her bishop. The rooks for white just not active. I think Fabiano going with his bishop earlier, this kind of zigzag he played was mistaken. He needed to get this rook into the game. But now Renato Terry, it's all about whether he can push his own pawn forward later. Maybe that d pawn is going to become the destroyer of the white position. Fabi's lost all of his time advantage.
Yeah, I was praising him for playing so quickly, but as I was starting to do that, he spent a lot of time, and right now it's Terry who has 30 seconds more on the clock. He has a better position. He has a pawn that is very far forward in the center. He has a safer king, I would say. So, yeah, this is looking very good.
It's looking very good. And okay, we've actually had a few moves. And position has changed somewhat. Still much better for Terry. He did win that pawn, as we said a bit earlier. The pawn in the center did disappear. And now the rook is coming. Oh, there's another target. We talk about 2 weaknesses. One of them is that he's a pawn down for Fabiano. Oh, he's not going to be enjoying this at all. The grind is on. And is it now time to go for that pawn? Or does he want to save his own pawn in the center first? Apparently, it was a mistake from Renato Terry. I'm shocked. That was the most natural move in the world for black.
Yeah.
But I think after an exchange, as soon as white does capture in the center, one white rook is going to come up to the top of the board and pin the black bishop. And that is going to be super annoying. No way to comfortably defend everything now.
Let's see if Caruana finds that important move, because right now it is even on the evaluation bar, but that is only in the case of finding the best moves.
Ooh, this one may be good as well, going into a rook endgame. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but at least he's tied down the black rook to the defense of this pawn.
When the clocks are very equal. who is the best at flagging here? And Caruana, he's sending one of his pawns very far up.
Yeah, great move. He's learnt that one from Magnus. You want to push your pawns as far as down the board as possible, especially on the A and the H files in the corner ranks. There's now a target keeping the black king penned in. The rook is also cutting off the black king from moving. Renato Terry's so good at flagging, though.
Yeah.
I've been a victim of his many times.
Oh, no. Oh, and Caruana spending a little bit too much time right now, I would say. 15 extra seconds for Terry, who looks very concentrated. He stopped talking right now.
Oh, no, he's blundered into a threefold repetition.
Oh, my gosh.
Renato
He
Terry.
can't even believe it.
Oh, we thought we might get a reaction from him. He is shocked. It wasn't the same moves. It was the same position 3 times. He was moving his king back and forward. He was moving his rook back and forward. And it was that final time.
Oh, and he looks very disheartened to see this. And that's also the interesting thing about playing online chess is these things are just kind of called immediately. There's no judge or anyone who is like saying that this is 3 times the same position. In online chess, it's automatically. So that must have come as a real shock to him, and obviously very disappointing for Terry, who was trying to find the perfect 7 out of 7 score, but now has to sit with 6.5. And instead, we can watch Hikaru, who has 15 seconds more on the clock in a very confusing position.
Yeah, he was the exchange up when we joined, but White's had some big threats for a long time. So Hikaru keeps having to check the white king, and oh, there's a big blunder from Deak. Oh, there were better moves there for black, but no time. It's all about the clock. Hikaru's defended everything, and he's now going into flagging mode. He's going to trade the queens. He's going to keep this game alive. Unlike Renato Terry, he's going to avoid any threefold repetitions, and you can see Bogdan Daniel Deak.
Yeah, he's already realizing.
He knows he's going to get flagged. 2 seconds, not enough.
Oh,
heartbreaking. He plays on, but job done. Hikaru wins on time.
Tough game. Probably got a little bit lucky. I mean, I definitely got lucky. Like, I was cooked out of the opening, right? Oh!
Here we hear Hikaru looking through the game, realizing maybe the moment that you were highlighting as well, David. Whoa, Deak had some possibilities, but the clock was the most important in the end here. And there's also been a draw between Sindarov and Sarana, which means that we don't have anybody with the perfect score anymore. But good news for some of the players who are chasing the field. Magnus at 5.5 points in an 18th place at the moment. We also see Hikaru, who has 6th, and then the 3 leaders with 6.5. So there's still a point up for Magnus, but considering how many points he's given away in the beginning of the tournament, this is a pretty okay before the last couple of rounds.
Exactly. It could be worse. Magnus, if he wins the rest, probably still got his fate in his own hands, or at least he'll be up there in the top 3. Most likely 9.5 tends to be the magic number to win these tournaments. So for those on 5.5, we see at the bottom of our rankings there, they need to win all their games. I think probably for the group on 6, they've got very decent chances. But we cursed it, commentators curse. We talk about 100%, how many there were. Suddenly there's no one on 100%, and the field is wide open.
And we do have some of the top players facing off each other. And Hikaru, who just won, he is playing against Alexei Sarana, who we've seen beat both Magnus Carlsen and Duda. But in the previous round, he did get a draw against Sindarov, the first half point he lost in this Title Tuesday.
And Hikaru taking a leaf out of Magnus's book against the Sicilian, especially a Sicilian Najdorf expert like Sarana. He's played this old line with the bishop coming out to c4, the bishop coming back to b3 that Magnus used in every single white game against the Sicilian at the World Rapid and Blitz. So Hikaru is showing that he was watching that event, definitely. And this tends to lead to quiet maneuvering games, which against someone as direct as Sarana, it's probably a good idea.
And Hikaru, he was watching that event. He wasn't participating because he was waiting for his son to be born. So that's also been a new development in Hikaru's life. But it doesn't seem to have affected Magnus or Hikaru's chess that they have both become fathers very recently. So that's uplifting to see that they are still able to concentrate on performing at the highest level.
Exactly. They've got great support networks around them, meaning that they can still focus on the chess 100% when they're at the board or at the computer. But yeah, of course, for Hikaru, big challenges, big year ahead. Maybe his last big push at the World Championship, classical title. What do you think? Yeah,
that's a very good point, because he actually said that he's not going to be participating in this freestyle World Championship, which in a way, he is the reigning champion of Fischer chess, Fischer 960. And now that FIDE is going to kind of join forces with the freestyle chess, I guess Hikaru is losing his only world championship title. And he's not going to be defending it either because he's prioritizing playing the candidates tournament in April. He's going to be playing classical chess. That's where his focus is at, and potentially the world championship. So, yeah, he's getting older. It could be his last chance.
Yeah, he's 38 already. We talked about Kasparov earlier. He retired at the age of 41, I believe. 43 was the age Kramnik retired. It's tough once you get a bit older. Your kind of life changes a bit, other priorities, energy dips. So Hikaru, this could be the one before the kids get too good.
Yeah.
And I think he would be a favorite against Gukesh in a match, at least kind of on historical results. So yeah, this could be it for Hikaru. Big few months ahead as he now tries to pin the Black Knight. Okay, that's interesting. There's a knight hit now by 2 white pieces. It could jump out the way and defend its bishop. If given the opportunity, Hikaru will take that piece off the board. But a shake of the head, maybe he missed the knight retreat, defending the bishop and attacking the queen. Okay, some geometry there, keeping things alive for Serrano, who's now slightly better, having escaped with his trapped knight there.
And Serrano, as always in this tournament today, he is around 30 seconds up on the clock. He has a slightly better position out of the opening. He seems to really be in good shape today.
Yeah, it makes me feel better about drawing 2-2 with Serrano when we took him down to the good night here in Oslo. He's a phenomenal blitz player, really nice person as well. But yeah, when he's in form, he's so dangerous. Serrano the Piranha, as he hunts down his opponents. Okay. Big center for white. Hikaru isn't out of it yet. The reason the pawn center isn't so strong here is because so many pieces have disappeared from the board. So white has actually left a lot of holes in his own camp. The white A pawn, for example, very weak. And big decision. Queen for 2 rooks.
And he does it.
Logical. I can play rook c4. I can also go d5. What's wrong with d5? d5, knight f4.
It's always interesting to kind of take a look into the minds of these top grandmasters and see how they're thinking. So Hikaru's first reaction was, why can't I play this? He was looking for reasons why not, but then he couldn't find any, so he went for it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't really believe in giving up your queen for 2 rooks until the last few years. I just thought mathematically 2 rooks are worth 10, a queen is worth 9.
Yeah.
But it's really become trendy, and especially with computers showing that queens are probably worth a bit more than that, to kind of give up that piece imbalance as long as you have enough backup. So here the black knight is super strong. The black queen combined with it could produce some chaos, especially because the white king doesn't have too many defenders around it, especially if you imagine the black queen sneaking down somewhere onto the bottom of the board. That could be deadly. The rooks don't coordinate so well. But this could backfire. It could still backfire on Serrano if he's unable to get that attack against Hikaru's king.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking a chance by enabling this imbalance at all. But I also feel like there are so few files for the rooks right now because there's so many pawns. And in that sense, for Hikaru's part, those rooks, they kind of struggle to do anything meaningful for the time being. So maybe he should try to exchange off a couple of pawns, but I'm not seeing how he's supposed to do that either.
Yeah, he would love to get his rooks active, as you say there. And the rooks need stable squares. Like, one rook has a very strong stable square right now. It's purely defensive. But the other white rook, it's like, what's it actually hunting? Nothing to target, hitting thin air. And now, not just the queen, not just the knight, but black's A-pawn promotes on a dart square. That's going to be a dangerous combo. The black A-pawn and the bishop protecting its promotion square. I think this is a fantastic judgment call for Serrano, who's got such an easy plan as well. When you're low on time, especially in blitz, you just want easy moves. Push the pawn, push the pawn. He's going to check, most likely with his queen on one of these squares now. And then he's going to, or drop it back. And he's going to bring his bishop in, and he's going to push that pawn for victory.
Ooh, yeah, this seems like a very straightforward plan. And Hikaru spending some time now trying to figure out how to stop it. He tries to intercept that bishop with a pawn move, but look at his reactions.
That was stupid by me. That's actually very stupid.
Okay, so he apparently didn't believe in his own plan. He blocked the bishop for a move, but then he realized, what now?
Exactly. The problem is the white knight wants to go and take this bishop, but there are problems with the other knight once you once you lose protection there. I think he also wanted to step his rook up and skewer the queen and pawn, win that black pawn, which is so dangerous. But the reason he says it's stupid is because the black queen's just going to go and grab in the center.
I just love the honesty of just, that was stupid. That was so stupid. And he still takes that bishop, but that means that the other bishop, the other knight, I mean, is available for Serrana, and he does capture that one. He's also threatening a pawn in the center, and then he can have another pass pawn. So it feels like everything is going Serrana's way, and we can see the bar also saying that he is massively better right now.
This could be Hikaru out of contention for first place. He'll be on 6 points still after 8 rounds, having dropped 2 losses. Unlikely he can catch up with the leading pack as we enter the final break of the day. And there we go. That could be the clincher. Hitting the rook, hitting the knight. You can't keep both of them intact. Serrana's about to get the scalp of Hikaru Nakamura. Hikaru tries one last trick with his rooks on the 7th rank. The queen, though, defends the pawn. Black has an extra knight. This is over. And Hikaru resigns. What a surprise. Serrana, though, is on a giant killing mission today.
Yeah, he's doing really well as we head into another break for the players. I mean, he now has 7.5 points, and nobody else has the same amount of points as Terry and Sindarov took a draw. And we can watch as well Caruana here, who had 6 points before this round, and Yuma Bayev also 6 points, who has beaten Hikaru earlier in this tournament. So can he also win against Caruana? That's what it looks like right now.
It's looking very good. The piece configuration, it's a knight and a bishop for a black rook. And yeah, 2 are better than 1. There's also a check now. He's blundered. Final mistake from Caruana. He leaves the table. Shumabayev also on fire.
And also leaves. So it seems like the players, they've been really anticipating this little break that they're going to have. And I also remember when I've been playing in Title Tuesday, it's like a pretty long time, and it's very intense when you only have like less than a minute left on your clock at all times, and there's never really a break. So they're going to take advantage of the couple of minutes they have before the next round. In the meantime, we've got Eric Geisy here, one of the top 5 players in the world with the white pieces, but it looks like he's going to lose against Jeffrey Zhang according to the evaluation bar, but really chaotic situation.
Yeah, I think in practical terms, anything can still happen. Wow, that queen now going on the hunt for the white king. White is so close to delivering checkmate. Any queen check, any pawn check is just game over, mate. But I think black gets there first. It's a race. And now he can probably safely remove that knight from the board. Either with his own knight or with his bishop. He gives a check instead. Someone's going to give checkmate. Someone's about to win this game. Is it going to be Jeffrey Zhang?
And they're both down to 30 seconds.
Oh, he goes safety first. That is a fantastic play. His queen defends the pawn. White's queen now doing nothing on the edge of the board. Oh, he even gives up his queen for a fork. Wow, beautiful. And next move, the queen is dropping off. There we go. He's going to get 2 bishops for a rook.
But there still could be a time scramble here.
Oh, wow. Jeffrey is so winning. 2 bishops are so strong. But as you say, the clock plays a huge part in these situations. Makes fools of us all, the clock in Title Tuesday.
Oh, is he going to have time?
Oh, en passant.
Genius move there. And it looks like he has now 4 pawns. He's gotten a queen. Erigaisi looking very upset right there. Ooh, and we don't see that many reactions from him usually. He's more of a calm and collected guy, but that was clearly very frustrating for him. And Jeffrey then will end up with 7 points.
Yeah, that's a big score. He's going to be in the mix, joint 2nd place. Yeah, there was no stalemate at the end there. Erigaisi was playing for tricks, but couldn't get there. What a win, Jeffrey Zhang, and quite a bloodthirsty round again. A few draws, but only 1 leader. He's been by far the most on-form player today. I think we have to agree, beating the likes of Magnus so convincingly.
All right, so now that we have the final scoreboard as we head into the final break, the players are going to have a break, and we were going to sum up the action so far.
Here we go.
And we can take a look at one of the highlights that we've had so far, David, and that was Magnus Carlsen messing up a rook endgame. How often do we see that?
Exactly. It's once in a blue moon, and it was this move. There we go. The white king moving away, allowing the black rook to slide down and across to win some pawns. That was the big mistake from Magnus. He wasn't actually much lower on the clock, so he should have seen that coming. But very uncharacteristic. And this was the final position. Magnus resigned knowing that Serrano was up on time and about to make a new queen. That could be decisive for the whole Title Tuesday this week. Serrano at the top and Magnus still lagging behind.
But he has caught up now. He's only a point behind. But as you say, this could be very important. And the confidence that Serrano must have gotten from winning a rook endgame. He actually went on to win another rook endgame in the next round.
That's right. He's been beating all of the top seeds, Serrano. And to do it with black, like beating Magnus, if Magnus blunders in a crazy middle game, that's one thing. But beating Magnus in an end game, that is nearly never done. That's something you get like once in a career. So yeah, he's going to be feeling on top of the world. And Serrano, depending on how the pairings go, having beaten Magnus and Hikaru with the black pieces, I think he's got all the tough ones out the way.
Yeah. He's going to have to start hunting further down. But as we see, when there are around 400 players participating in Title Tuesday every week, 400 titled players, there's never really any easy rounds. I mean, look at the spaces 17 and 18. We've got Caruana and Hikaru, two of the players going to participate in the candidates tournament. So there are no easy rounds here. But Serrano, having finished up playing Magnus, he's played Terry, he's played Sindarov. He has probably very good tie breaks as well.
That's true. He knows that Magnus and Hikaru will score high. That increases the tie breaks if you play them. Sindarov, yeah, I just have a feeling Sindarov's going to be at the candidates super dangerous. I think he's going to at least beat a few of the top guys. Maybe not the consistency to become the next challenger, but yeah, to see a race between some of these top players, it's fantastic.
And David, here in the Take studios, of course, we're doing this broadcast, but there's other stuff going on in this office as well. And I know that you guys have been developing an app recently.
That's right. Something very special is coming, and you can be one of the first. A new app is soon to arrive. There's something for everyone, whether you want to share your games, your moves, your progress, whether you want to follow the top players or follow your friends, or whether you just want to learn from your own games. There's something for you. You can be one of the first. You can click on the link that we're dropping in the chat that you see on your screens to join the waiting list. Magnus is involved. Magnus loves it. And you might be able to interact with him as well yourself. So I hope everyone at home goes to check it out.
Yeah, I can't imagine getting that notification that like Magnus has liked your game. That would send me spiraling. So I'm looking forward to seeing like chess in a more social dynamic and seeing like people share their games. It's going to be very exciting. I've signed up for the wait list, by the way, in case anybody wants to approve my submission. And yeah, we can find the link at the top of our screen here. And we're getting ready for the final 3 rounds now. What are we going to expect? Because some of the players, like we were talking about earlier, they really need to win the rest of their games to be in control of their own destiny. So players like Magnus, who has 6.5 points, he has to win a lot right now.
Yeah, I think in order to win or guarantee that he wins the tournament, he'll have to win the rest of his games for Magnus and hope that Serrano loses at some point, although Serrano's tiebreaks might still be superior. For the pack on 7, they know that they'll get a shot at Serrano if they keep winning. I don't think anyone on 6 points now can win this tournament. It will be 9.5 most likely, or above the winning number.
And we can also maybe take a look at the standings for this split too, because a lot of these players, they really desperately need these points. We can see here that Serrano, he is climbing, and if he could win, that would be very good for him. And Terry is another player I can see also could benefit hugely from gaining 10 points, for example, here. So yeah, there's a lot to play for.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge week for the standings. It's always around the middle of every split. It feels like people suddenly get more determined. They realize, oh, I've got a huge opportunity here. And that perhaps has inspired Serrano and inspired Renato Terry, who's also been playing for some fantastic moves today.
All right, and there are only 3 rounds left. It's very exciting. Who is going to win Game Week 7?
I'm expecting, mistake there. Big mistake, apparently. There we go. He's blundered a pawn. I said he was just going to drop back his knight and just sit and wait and do nothing, but there we go. Not only is the knight now undefended, but the pawn on g5 will be undefended. He's just made a bad position worse. He should try and get this game drawn here and now, but he's blundered. He's allowed the black pieces to come in. Magnus's king was too far away.
That was completely and utterly unnecessary.
Hikaru keeps having to check the white king, and oh, there's a big blunder from Deak. Oh, there were better moves there for black, but no time. It's all about the clock. You can see Bogdan Daniel Deak.
Yeah, he's already realizing.
Tough game. Probably got a little bit lucky. I mean, I definitely got lucky. Like, I was cooked out of the opening, right? Oh!
I love seeing the reactions of the players. When they're sitting at home, it feels like they allow themselves more of these like shocks, like even curse words, because they kind of forget that we're watching them and they get really like sucked into the drama.
Exactly. I've been listening to some sports kind of podcasts recently, and they say when a footballer's on a football pitch, you know, they tense up, they pass the ball backwards because they don't want to be seen making mistakes at home. Like, we'll make all the mistakes in the world. As long as nobody can see us, we're happy with it. So It's nice to see the players fully relaxed.
And Magnus, who's been taking his time getting back to the board during these breaks, I'm worried that he is once again sacrificing valuable seconds against previous world champion of blitz chess, Lim Le from Vietnam. And that's not a good idea to do against somebody who's so good in these quicker time formats.
Exactly, especially such a critical round. There we see Lim Le appear. I don't know what he's doing.
Get back to the board. Okay, he's here.
He was changing diapers. I don't know. He was sunbathing by the pool, but he's back. And we see a d-pawn opening from Liam Le. It's going to transpose into a double fianchetto. Magnus uses this in must-win situations. A few years ago at the World Blitz Championship, he was playing this every single game with the black pieces. There we go. He hits the white queen away. She's going to step forward now, most likely, and yes, white's lost a bit of time, but inviting this bishop into the center means there is a target on the next move. So very sneaky opening choice there from Liam Le. Watch out, though. Magnus has got tricks of his own. Knight takes pawn is threatened. That pawn isn't really defended because there was an undefended bishop on g2. Now it's protected. The question is, can you take this knight? Can you take this pawn? Magnus probably wishes he had an extra 30 seconds to think about it.
Yeah, Magnus. Why do you always show up so late after these breaks? I mean, it's clearly an advantage for Lim Le that he almost has a minute more on the clock right now.
Yeah, that was self-inflicted from Magnus. He spent a bit of time. Bishop takes knight was a desirable move, but the white queen would have taken, and there would have been a pin along this diagonal. So it wasn't possible to win a pawn there, but Magnus now having to put his knight on the edge of the board.
I wanted to hear if Magnus was going to say anything, but he seems to be in concentration mode.
A4, C5, I think.
It seems like Magnus has had a bit of a lower energy level today, and it seems like the loss in the earlier round against Serrana, like it didn't seem like it affected him in a personal level like it usually does. Is he maybe in like too much of a chill mode today?
Yeah, it's a fine balance. You don't want to be too tense, don't want to be too kind of hyped up because the energy will ebb and flow. But yeah, I agree. Like, I think Magnus, we saw at the World Rapid Championship, he lost to Artemiev, suddenly 5-game winning streak. He got angry.
Yeah.
The World Blitz, he was fumbling pieces, throwing them left, right, and center, losing games. He got angry and went on a streak. We haven't seen him get angry yet.
Yeah, and usually when Magnus loses a game, he's the worst opponent to meet. Magnus, who just lost a game. Yeah. But today he actually got a draw in the round after he lost. So yeah, a little bit less of a fighting spirit from Magnus today, but even despite that, he is still in contention for winning this title Tuesday. And of course, Lim Le with 7 points, he's half a point ahead, and he would also like to secure more points for the standings of Split 2 here.
Yeah, this is reckless though. The clock consumption of Magnus Carlsen, he's a minute and a half down.
I don't think I've ever seen him be that far behind on the clock in Title Tuesday.
Yeah, and whenever we do, it's only against Hikaru, and it sometimes ends badly. And there we go. He pushed a pawn forward. Like a 1 minute think just to push the pawn to a6. That's very mysterious. His bishop in the center is kind of trapped, but can give itself up for a knight at some point. Magnus wants to blow open the queen side, wants to maybe even sacrifice a pawn just to get lines for his rooks, his queens. But again, that type of decision will take a lot of time off his clock. Lemle needs to strike in the near future. This is dangerous for Magnus if he wants to get back into the race for first place.
And Limle looks like he's taking it quite chill, but even despite taking it chill, he is a minute up on the clock, and he has a good position according to the evaluation bar at the top of the screen. He has developed all of his pieces into very sound places. He's got his rooks connected. I mean, Magnus, it feels like he's lagging a bit behind in this game right now.
Yeah, Magnus has to do one of two things. At some point, there we go. Either sacrifice a pawn, blow it open, at least make his moves more obvious, or just curl up into a ball, go defensive. He's much worse now. He's given up a pawn, Lemle with an advantage.
This is just not a great Benko gambit at all.
Well, that's one way of summarizing that, Magnus, but he needed to do something. He got desperate.
Exactly. At least it's clear what his plan is now. His plan will be to move his queen and then slide his rooks across. And Magnus mentioned the Benko gambit. That is giving up a pawn. That's this pawn structure, normally via a different move order, but it does give you two open files. That's the beauty of being pawns down. You get open lines instead. And there we go. He moves his queen across. He's going to move his rook across, maybe retreat his knight to open up his bishop. First, he offers a queen trade. He wants his trademark endgame. But yeah, I've got to say, it's not the most impressive opening I've ever seen from Magnus. But definitely in the Benko gambit, you get chances at some point. White's pawns do take a long time to mobilize. And the time advantage has been cut in half, so some hope there.
And Magnus is at least now trying to trade the queens, but he doesn't seem to be very happy.
Yeah. Just not happy in general. He's trying to focus, but yeah, if he had that extra 30 seconds, if it was level on time, I would say decent chances. Now the white bishop has a path back to control some nice squares. No weaknesses for white. Pawn up. Black's knight on the edge of the board is terrible. If you could pick it up and put it somewhere else, then maybe some chances.
He's trying to move it, but even after moving it to that square, it's terrible. And even if he moves it another time, it will be terrible. And then it won't have any other places to go.
Yeah.
What an annoying knight to have.
And annoying move to face as well. This bishop hit on the black knight. White's just going to push this pawn forward now, and that's a protected pass pawn for life.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, normally you get open files for the Benko gambit, but this B file was congested as anything.
I rarely see Magnus kind of... He hasn't lost yet, obviously, but I rarely see him find himself in this tragic of a situation this early on, and it feels like Limle has just been better the whole game.
Yeah, Magnus has not just had a bad opening, he's been outplayed on top of it. And there we go. I was going to say, the only way you ever save this is to cause confusion for Limle. Somehow get him thinking, somehow strike on the clock, and kind of provoke him into thinking, but he's just keeping maximum control. The white king's going to slide forward now. At some point, I think Limle should be pushing this pawn just to open up lines for his rooks. The white rooks are a bit blocked right now. That probably is the winning recipe later. But he's got to speed up. Suddenly, only 10 seconds difference. And advantage dwindling as well.
Oh, and the time is really evening out. Is Magnus seeing any opportunities?
Maybe. He's given up the exchange, Magnus. He's down a rook for knight now. But at least play will switch to just one side of the board. And knights, surprisingly, can be strong against rooks if it's just pawns on one side. Magnus is trying to draw. I think Magnus has also got half an eye on the clock.
Yeah. And Limle, he's played a lot of online chess. We remember him from his very many participations in the Champions Chess Tour series these past couple of years. And so he should be very good with few seconds on his clock, but it remains to be seen who is better. But from these two in like the bullet section of the game, they're down to a minute each.
Man, Limle has just spent far too long on the last few moves. Watch out, there were some knight forks. Oh, he kept them under guard there, but now there's a pawn hanging. This has turned around a lot. Momentum is on black side.
And he's shaking his head, and Magnus has won a pawn in the middle. And look at Limle's reactions.
What's he doing? There's another pawn now up for grabs. Magnus has turned this around.
Here. Could have tried and gone for this pawn, but I just want to make sure I don't trade too many pieces.
Oh, he doesn't want to trade too many pieces. He wants to keep some pieces on the board. He wants to win on time.
Wow, Magnus, he's going to get the D pawn as well. He's going to have a bishop and 2 pawns. Most importantly, he's going to have total stability. And he's got 30 seconds extra on the clock. Liam Lei, I think, just froze. Total freeze.
Maybe it was also realizing, oh, I have a much better position against Magnus. I really want to crown my work in a good way. And he was looking for too many specific moves instead of just trying to keep the position alive. And now he's down to less than 10 seconds. And Magnus, for the first time, actually has a better position now in the entire game.
Yeah, that rook is hit. The pawn is hit. That was a deflection attempt from Liam Lei, but now he's down material. Magnus is up. Imagine that. He was down a pawn for nothing. Now he's got a bishop and 3 pawns for a rook, and Liam Lei runs out of time. Wow, a relief for Magnus Carlsen.
Through the depth of despair, we emerged with a win.
Okay. Well, it wasn't like a huge celebration, but anyhow, Magnus climbs up to 7.5 points. Final seconds here between Sindarov and Yumabayev from Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. What's happening?
Wow, this is wild. Pawns galore. That's a new queen. Only appeared for 1 moment, but White is winning. Black has 2 extra rooks, but White is winning. The pawns are so strong. A new queen is going to be born. Oh, a check. A capture. That is desperation. Yumabayev's running out of time. 0.4. He's got no time. That's a check. The rook disappears and, despair from Zhimabayev. Sindarov gets the win.
Wow. And that means that Sindarov will have 8 points and he's in the lead. Sindarov now together with Sarana and Sanal, actually. A lot of people coming out of nowhere. And Magnus suddenly in 4th place with 7.5 points. This is really anyone's tournament with 2 rounds left. It's going to be so exciting to see which players are going to be paired up in this next round.
Yeah, I mean, all bets are off. Like, I literally don't know who's going to win this tournament. 1 second, I think Sarana's got it in the bag. Next second, I'm looking at Sindarov being like, oh, he's so good. Then I'm suddenly seeing Magnus rising up, and Magnus against Abdusattorov. It's the replay of the World Blitz finals now on board 3.
Wow. And Abdusattorov also has kind of come out of nowhere because he lost in round 3. So we just kind of said, okay, goodbye to you. And then suddenly in round 10, he's playing the world champion, the 7 out of 15 Title Tuesday winner. And they're playing against each other again. Magnus with the white pieces, showing up on time to this game. And that, I think, is a very good idea.
Yeah, that was a forced move. Judging on how badly the opening went on the previous game, Magnus, as he lost 30, 40 seconds. We'll see what happens here, but Abdusattorov will be thirsting for revenge after the World Blitz finals, where actually he was dominating a lot of those games.
Yeah.
Magnus was the one who ground him down in 2 endgames. This is going to be a fun one. Abdusattorov could also help out his countryman Sindarov by stopping Magnus in his tracks here, as we see a bit of a weird opening. It started life as a Slav defense, is now looking more like a French defense.
But I can also see that Magnus is smiling quite a bit. It seems like he enjoys playing against Abdusattorov, and he's in a good mood right now.
Queen a6. Okay, sure. I'll trade. I don't mind that.
Okay, so we're in an endgame suddenly, and Magnus doesn't mind that.
Yeah, he did beat Abdusattorov from 2 very, very drawish looking endgames, the World Blitz recently. Abdusattorov, I think it would have been tough to sleep after those losses. Like, he would never lose those to anyone else. Magnus just has this special something extra in the endgame, and we'll see if it pays off now. On paper, I think Black's done very well from the opening.
Yeah.
Objectively, because the light squared bishop, which is normally quite bad in the French defense, has been traded off. You have pawns on light squares, and you have a nice bishop on dark squares, so they complement each other very well. But Black has a little bit less space. Magnus can start throwing all the pawns forward. I don't know. We've seen Magnus do it so many times, outmaneuver opponents from positions like this.
But it's impressive that despite, as you say, this history that Abdusattorov has with losing very equalish endgames against Magnus, that he was the one who said, I want to trade the queens. So it means that he does still have confidence. And he did actually for a while here have a better position according to the evaluation bar, now trading off another bishop, which means that Magnus is sitting there with a bishop that's moving on the same square as a lot of his pawns in the middle, making that bishop pretty bad. So yeah, I would prefer Abdusattorov's position in this game so far.
I agree. It's easier to play for Black, I would say, especially if he can get a scenario where he totally blocks the light squares and it's just this very, very bad looking bishop. But for now, Magnus does have dreams long-term of somehow getting this bishop over to a nicer diagonal, maybe, as he brings his knight forward. Oh, this is just a very high-quality game. Again, it doesn't look like blitz chess. It looks like two grandmasters slugging it out in a classical battle.
Yeah.
No mistakes yet from either side. Slightly better for black, according to the evaluation bar.
And yeah, they have. I feel like when you have 3.5 minutes in a position like this, that feels like an infinite amount of time because we're so used to seeing these players have these incredible time scrambles. But Magnus, he's making some reactions. What is he saying?
I don't know what that was at all.
Okay. Should Magnus fans be concerned, David, when he says, "I don't know what that was at all"?
I'm not sure. They should be concerned either for Magnus or his opponent. I'm not sure which one. Someone seems to be making some odd decisions. Abdusattorov was asking for a rook trade there. He gets it on his own terms. But now the white pawns are either very strong, controlling the black knights, or they're a bit weak. And I was going to say, Abdusattorov, the key question would be whether to trade another set of rooks. He keeps those on for now. Very hard to know what to do next for both sides. Feels like they're both kind of at a standstill. Like this black knight can sit on a dart square, but might get traded off later. Magnus wants to defend his pawns from the side. Ooh, okay, this is the plan. B5. Abdusattorov wants to break out. Very interesting. Magnus doesn't like his position, I think. That trade of bishop for knight, because it's so blocked, knights are better than bishops. I think it's simply, as he points out, more like the white bishop here, the long-term problem.
And it looks like Abdusattorov, he's very concentrated and he's making his moves very quickly, keeping a time advantage against Magnus, and in that sense, kind of threatening him should they go into some time scramble, which is a bit different from the World Blitz, where they did get extra time per move. They got 2 extra seconds. So there was never a risk of running out of time, but here, Abdusattorov, he is using the clock as a weapon.
Yeah, he's using the clock as a weapon, playing very quickly, but I don't like what he's done, Abdusattorov here. He's allowed white to poach this weakness on h6. Magnus is shaking his head, not liking it, but suddenly, for the first time in this game, Magnus has some hopes and dreams of taking this pawn and creating some outside potential here. First, he takes back the h4 pawn. I'm liking white's position finally, but it's become a bit of a race. White's going to get this pawn later, black's going to get this pawn later, and we'll see mutual pawn races.
And Alexis Rana has taken a draw against Pranav, which means that he now has 8.5 points. A bit surprising when players start taking these draws in the 10th round, because I feel like it's so even in the field, and if you want to win the tournament, it feels like you really need some points and some wins towards the end as well. But Magnus is shaking his head.
Step slow. That's what I feel.
Yeah. It's a race and he's just a bit slower. He wants to go and grab this pawn. He's now down a pawn. He lost the a4 pawn, but suddenly this one in the center would be vulnerable, and Abdusattorov is going to come and triple up the pressure on that pawn shortly. This is really reminiscent of the first game of their final at the World Blitz Championship, where it was actually Abdusattorov who struck first and won, where Magnus also had weaknesses to target on h6, but never really managed to get there. And Abdusattorov, with his rooks, with his other pieces, came in. So I fear for Magnus a bit.
And a minute behind on the clock as well. It's going to be a huge factor.
I think Abdusattorov can take a draw here if he wants. He might want more by dropping his king back, rook to b6, and back with his own king. But he wants to win, the young Uzbek. Oh, mistake from Magnus. Now much better for black.
Oh.
What is the key move?
Let's see if he reacts in any way.
He has to break the pin. There we go.
Oh, Magnus is silent.
Oh, and the knight's coming around.
It's another miss.
Yeah, Magnus with the misses.
He seems frustrated.
Yeah, he's far from his best here, and there are issues, mainly with the bishop now pinned. Magnus retreating as well. That's in the wrong direction. He's never really started this race, and now Abdusattorov can obtain a winning advantage in multiple ways. He attacks the white knight. You couldn't defend it because it would have been taken anyway. Now the black rook breaks through the other side of the board. 2-pawn advantage for black. Incoming again. That pawn in the center is weak. The bishop just so bad. The knights are too strong.
Yeah, this just wins, unfortunately.
Magnus realizing that he's going to lose this game. Abdusattorov, he's going to have 8.5 points. He's going to be in the lead in that case.
It's going to be revenge for the World Blitz final. Abdusattorov almost smiling now. You can see he senses it.
Yeah.
Unstoppable. Magnus gives up his bishop for that strong, powerful pass pawn. He's going to go for Black's base of the chain here, but that's easily defendable. It's almost game over. Magnus just on his last legs now.
But what if Abdusattorov gets nervous? I mean, we've seen this against many players who are facing Magnus, that they suddenly kind of start overthinking. Abdusattorov, he needs to stay concentrated.
He's done everything right, Abdusattorov. He's a knight and a pawn up. He's going round again for white's pawn. Magnus trying the final tricks. Abdusattorov leaning back and gets the win.
Okay, I was just, what can I say? I was outclassed in that game.
Wow, that's quite the praise from Magnus here, saying that he was outclassed in this game against Abdusattorov, who then joined Sarana in the lead with 8.5 points with 1 round remaining, which means that Magnus, I don't think he can win this tournament anymore.
Magnus is out of the race for first place. It's likely to be Sarana, Abdusattorov, or maybe Sindarov, who's still going on board 1. Imagine a clash of the two Uzbekistan grandmasters. Vahap Sanal of Turkey is also very strong, not known as one of the elite players. It looks like he's in big trouble though here. He's spending a bit of time, same color bishops, but it's a race. Bishop takes pawn is the key question. And the king of pawn endgame is winning for black with this one running down the board. We'll see the finale to this game. Black's just too fast, and there we go. Sindarov gets the win.
Wow, and that means that Sindarov, he is the one who's going to be leading because he has 9 points, and that means he's very close to getting the victory of this 7th game week with 1 round left. So what do you think? If Sindarov and Abdusattorov are playing each other in the final round and he can win with half a point, like, what do you think? Do you think that in any way that people kind of have these kinds of friendships where they're like, okay, I wish you to win the tournament?
I think in the old days of chess, they might have done. Like, there was some collusion back in the day, like players of, say, certain nations. That's why there are rules that the candidates, for example, if it's 2 players from certain countries, they have to play each other in round 1.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the young generation, they fight.
Yeah.
Like Abdusattorov, he's been so unlucky at the World Blitz. The World Cup, he was knocked out. Sindarov's had his moment at the World Cup. He's got the candidates. I don't think Abdusattorov is ever going to say, okay, here's the win to Sindarov.
So they're competitors. So let's see. It's going to be interesting to see who of these players are going to play against each other in the final round. And there's also a lot of other surprising names. I mean, in the 4th place representing, is that the Chilean flag? This is a player that I haven't seen in the top 10 before.
Yeah, Enriquez Villagra. Got to be careful how you pronounce that name. But
I was giving that one to you.
Yeah, he's a very strong grandmaster. He's been Chile's best player for a while. But maybe not a familiar name at the top of the standings here.
And we see that Hikaru is still kind of in contention, but now that Sindarov has 9 points, it's hard to imagine it being anyone else than Sindarov, Sarana, or Abdusattorov winning this 7th game week. So it's going to be very exciting. We see there that Minle, he finished his game just there, so that means that the pairings are coming, and we do have the Uzbek finale, the 2 Olympiad teammates and also competitors. They're playing against each other in the final round.
Wow, and one of these 2 players is guaranteed to get at least 9.5 points. So we can safely say that the pack on 8 are out of the race for first place. It's going to be one of these 2 or Alexei Sarana to win the tournament now. And okay, Sindarov does start with white. That is an advantage. It means that he can probably bully Abdusattorov a little bit with the idea of a draw. Abdusattorov simply has to win. But this is going to be fun. It's going to be a very interesting battle between the 2 players from Uzbekistan here. I think Sindarov is a few years younger than Nodibek Abdusattorov, a younger competitor. He's always been a bit in the shadow until 2025. That was his big breakthrough year. We see the Spanish opening here, the Roy Lopez. And what will Sindarov do? Will he play the delayed exchange variation? He's done that a few times lately. The answer is no. He's going for a main line. And now, big question, C3, D3, A4. There are so many moves here for white. Black has ideas of the Marshall Gambit if he breaks out in the center. And you can see he's already indecisive, Sindarov, spending a lot of time on the clock in these early stages. He doesn't know whether to play for a win or a draw. A draw for Sindarov, he might get leapfrogged by Sarana, who has a fantastic tiebreak. So maybe both players will really want the win. But Sindarov, this is too slow.
Yeah.
He can't choose what opening he wants to play. He can't decide.
But he does have a good position at the moment. But according to the evaluation bar, but he's already spent a minute.
Yeah, that is very, very dangerous long term, spending a minute on the clock. He doesn't allow the Marshall, which would have happened after c3 pawn to d5. The Marshall Gambit, super famous variation there, played by many world champions. And okay, it's a delayed version of that. White can now grab a pawn in the center, but Black's idea will be to bypass that, bring a knight forward, and grab the bishop pair. This is still very, very well-known stuff. Well-known stuff, but Sindarov's spending too long.
Wow.
Looks like Abdusattorov, he's the more familiar of the two with this opening.
Yeah, and I also feel like when you're teammates and you know each other very well, then you've played a lot of games against each other. And maybe Sindarov, he has some like bad memories from certain openings, and he's like, okay, let me try not to play that opening. And then you kind of overthink this whole opening process, and you end up spending so much time just because you're playing somebody who really knows you as a chess player. Exactly.
Like the opening stage of a blitz game very rarely decides everything, especially at this top level where everyone's openings are at a very decent level. You nearly never see the one-move blunders. They don't lose a piece in 10 moves. As long as you're in the game, you have a chance. So very surprised. Sindarov is still thinking knight to d4 is a known move. You normally take that exactly. He's played the main line.
Yeah.
And it's cost him 2 minutes. This has been known since the 90s as one of the main lines.
It's good that we have you here, David, who knows all the chess history. and
I remember Peter Lecco playing this in 1995.
Exactly.
Before Sindarov or Abdusattorov. Well, actually, Abdusattorov was born by... Oh, no, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. I wasn't even born then.
They're all so young.
And yeah, and look at Abdusattorov. He looks very motivated and concentrated. And I was especially impressed that even as he got an advantage against Magnus, that he never really let it slip, and that he spent his time, but he spent it very wisely. And I mean, winning against the world #1 and then going into the final round knowing that if I win Title Tuesday, there isn't a better motivation than that.
Exactly. And we've seen the queens come off in the last couple of moves. I think that's Sindarov trying to play safety first. He's still got a little bit of pressure, and this knight is now hanging. And White is the one who holds the key to opening up the corner file here. White can unlock that at any possible moment, so a bit uncomfortable for Black potentially. White's knight is also now unpinned. There was a nasty tension on this diagonal. The White knight is able to go and target a loose pawn in the center. So Sindarov still with a very healthy position, finally making his opponent think though. And yeah, those chess.com blitz ratings are insane. 3,200 as both of them. There's hardly anything separates them. You can see why Uzbekistan have already won one Olympiad and likely to win more in future.
Yeah, do you think that they're also prioritizing that? I mean, here's a dilemma for these two, or for Sindarov specifically. If he qualifies for the World Championship by winning the Candidates Tournament now in April, and he's going to play the World Championship in November, will he play the Olympiad? Because he's so important for the team.
True.
He's one of the best players in the world, but also very important for the Uzbekistan team. But do you make time for that when you also have a World Championship potentially? It must be very hard to like plan and prioritize tournaments for these guys.
Yeah, it's very interesting. That would be a real dilemma, as you say. I think in the old days, the world champions like Kasparov did play some Olympiads, but not everyone. Anand didn't play for years Olympiads while he was world champion. But Gukesh played the Olympiad, had a great result just before he became world champion. So maybe the young players will prioritize it. Sindarov, of course, got given a 3-bedroom apartment by the government after winning the World Cup. So probably he feels obliged. He's like, okay.
To represent the country, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
If you win gold again, you might get a mansion palace next time. Okay, in the meantime, White's a pawn down, but about to win one back. Black is slightly better, but I think he's going to need to tread carefully. If the knight moves, rook takes pawn is going to hit both of the black bishops. That is going to be very scary. So what to do? How to defend all the threats. Abdusattorov's lost most of his time advantage. He decides to defend his knight. There we go. He got his bishop out the way in the process. And now, quick calculation. Attacking the rook. And the rook's getting traded off now. Level looking endgame. The clocks are ticking.
Ooh. And he's still been able to keep his time advantage, Abdussatorov, and he looks as concentrated as ever. He always has this kind of shaky vibe, but that's just like him being in focus mode is how I'm reading it. And he seems very determined with extra time on the clock, but it's become a way more equal position than it was just a couple of moves ago.
Yeah, and the good news for these two is that Alexei Sarana appears to be in a bit of trouble. Against Denis Lazovic on board 2. So whoever wins this game is very likely to win the tournament.
Okay.
Maybe a draw enough for Sindarov, but he doesn't know that yet.
Yeah, they don't have time to look at the other games, and it's always a bit dramatic in the final round when all of the different placements are switched up with last-minute results coming in. So it's going to be exciting to see what they go for, but it's clear that Abdussatorov, he is trying to win this, and he has an extra pawn, or not, no, he doesn't have an extra pawn anymore, but he has better pawns, a better pawn structure, but Sindarov has the bishop pair, and they both really want to win this game.
Yeah, it feels like on the board, it's like they've cancelled each other out. They've both just played so well. Again, such a high-quality game. 0 mistakes from either side. But there we go. This is Sindarov panicking slightly and trying to force a draw, trying to build a fortress. He's down to 1 minute, but now only black can win. Only the black pieces can come out on top here. The king is going to sit beautifully on a square, attacking some double pawns. The bishop is going to tie white's bishop down. The only question is whether this is a fortress. White's got the bad bishop. All of white's pawns are on the same color as that piece. Black has the good bishop, but where's the breakthrough? Maybe at some point he's got to try and use his own pawn to break past the white king. The kings are in opposition right now. This is tough. Sindarov, I don't think he's going to hold this. 44 seconds. Bishop trade. Big question. Taking the bishops off. Oh, he's trying to calculate, but that would have led to a draw most likely. Nodebek, he's going to wait and wait. He's moving around. This is very clever. Oh, now, only now. Wait, he should have waited even longer and pushed his
king and pawn endgame.
But this makes it so much easier for white, who had no time. He didn't want to flag his opponent.
He wants to win fair and square, but is he even winning?
Or only move for white. He finds it. He brings his king forward. It's the B pawn that's going to promote. And black's H pawn is the one. We're going to see new queens being born.
Oh.
Black gets there first, but white's king is nearer.
Yeah, and then Abdussatorov has way more time on the clock. They agreed to a draw?
Wow, it's probably a drawn endgame. Sindarov is the only one who can win. He would have been a pawn up, but 30 seconds. I think he wanted to bank it and hope that other results go his way.
Oh, we need to look at the standings, because I can see that we still have the game between Alexei Sarana and Denis Lazovic going on here. And Sarana, how many points does he have? He has
8.5. He needs to win.
Oh.
He needs to win to catch Sindarov, but he's lower on time and he's a pawn down against Denis Lazovic. Oh, I don't think he's going to make it, Sarana. He's played so well all tournament, but he's been bogged down by draws, and now he's only fighting for survival. The problem is all of his pawns are on light squares. The white king is going to go and kick away the black knight. And there we go. 2 pawns down. Lazovic's going to get this. Lazovic's a grinder. He knows his endgames. That pawn is now defended, tying down the black king. The white pawn's going to push forward as well, and the white king's going to enter. There we go. Deflection, and Sarana banging the table. He's so angry with himself.
Oh, no.
3 pawns down now. He's had such a good tournament, but it's going to end here and now. How frustrating. Denis Lazovic's going to make a new queen. And there we go. The fork ends it. The knight drops off. He's going to resign, Sarana, and that means we have a winner of this week's Title Tuesday.
And it is Yakovir Sindarov, who then gets 9.5 points alone at the top of the table, but lots of other people catching up to 9 points just in this final round. We saw that Eric Gaisi beat Hikaru, Caruana suddenly in second place, Arjun. No, the people are still switching around because the tie breaks are still being calculated. So it's too soon to say second and third place, but the winner, we know it is Sindarov. Quite an amazing performance by him to be able to get that draw against Abdussatorov. It looked pretty bad for quite a while there.
Yeah, towards the end, I think Abdussatorov, if he kept the bishops on, probably would have flagged Sindarov. So Sindarov has something to thank to his countrymen for being a gentleman and trying to play on the board, trying to win on the board. But there we go. Luck balances out. And Sindarov, what a start to the year it's been. Last year was a breakthrough. Candidates coming up. that is going to be a huge boost for him. Many congratulations to Uzbekistan in general, but especially Sindarov.
Yeah, let's take a look at the country standings as well while we have it here. Who do you predict is going to be number one?
I'll go Uzbekistan, just for fun.
Let's
normally
see.
US or India. It is.
Nice. And it shouldn't be that big of a surprise, but Uzbekistan, they had several good players participating today, and India, of course, a great chess nation, Germany, the US, Norway in 13th place, and England
20th, top 20.
Hooray! All right, but let's go back to the standings that actually matter the most, which is the individual standings. And Sindarov, we have him on the line right now. So congratulations, Yavakir. Hello, can you hear us in the Take studio? Maybe. David, you try saying something.
Hello? Hello?
I was like, if you two are on the call together.
We'll get him back shortly.
Yeah, we will. And it will be fun to hear from him now that he has won what I think is the first time he has won Title Tuesday since we changed to this 5+0 format. And in such an impressive way where he didn't lose any games. Yeah. He got 3 draws, and it was also quite daring of him to go for that draw in the final round. I think some players may have been stressed that, do I have enough points? What about the tournament situation? But he was good at just assessing that my best chance right now is just to take that draw. All right. And Yavakir, can you hear us in the Take studio?
Hello.
All right. Congratulations on your Title Tuesday win.
It was not an easy tournament, but I think important to start very good. And actually, I like my style to play solid and not lose. I mean, I also won like 1 or 2 Title Tuesday with same result, 3 draws and 8 wins.
Yeah, so you were completely undefeated today, and the fact that you took a draw in the final round, were you thinking about the tournament situation, or did you just think that, okay, a draw is good enough here?
No, I was thinking like I should need to play solid, but some moment I think I have 0 problems that I can like little bit push, and then I check my time. I was like have 1 minute against 2 minutes or 2.5, I don't know, and then I was thinking I should need to play fast and play solid. When I get this position with bishop f3, king f3, I saw like I can play king e4, king d5 and take, and I'm on time. So I'm happy with this result, of course.
And it's been a great 2025 for you chess-wise. I mean, you had so many amazing results, and you're going to be playing in the Candidates tournament. What are you looking forward to in 2026?
Of course, my biggest tournament will be Candidates, and I hope I will win this tournament. And my goal is come to this tournament with my strongest form, in my opinion. And yeah, this is one of my goals for 2026. And also, I want to become, of course, in top 10 players. Yeah.
And what about the Esports World Cup? Because you just secured 10 points for the standings here in the Champions Chess Tour by winning today. And that means that you might be able to qualify again for the Esports World Cup this year.
Yeah, I played last year Esports World Cup. I really enjoyed everything on a high level. And of course, this year also I want to try my chances. And okay, I think in 2025 I don't play a lot of Title Tuesdays. I try to play a little bit more and try my chances, of course.
And this is the 4th time you have won Title Tuesday ever, but it's the first time since we changed the format to being 5+0.
Yeah, 5+0.
And what is that like? Do you prefer having the no increment? Do you like those time scramble situations?
First, when I start, first my tournament very terrible, very hard for me because I think a lot, and this 1 second increment is very important for me. But then I start to improve myself, and now I think it's fine, of course. And I think 5+0 is maybe much better than 3+0 because you can. I mean, it's not very hard to push from the opening. You have some times to think, and I mean. When you got to time travel, it's easy to play with. I think. With low pieces.
And in the final round, you're playing against your teammate from Uzbekistan. Are you thinking in any way about the fact that this is a player you know very well and that you've played a lot together, or are you just focused on the chess?
Yeah, my goal was play solid, and of course he's a very strong player, and I was thinking I don't need to push him, and but I think some moment I think I have a very good position, but I miss this. It takes b5 move. I think it's very good move, and then I start. Okay, now also I have very big problem with time in this game, but I think I defend very well this game, and also I think Nodibek also took second or third place, and I think it's also good ranking final.
And are you thinking in any way about the fact that there is an Olympiad as well? This is a really packed chess year for you.
Yeah, I think this year will be a lot of tournaments, and I don't know. We should have a lot of energy for this tournament because everyone is most important, and it's very hard to say something about this tournament because I will play also freestyle chess tournaments and candidates, then a lot of rapid and bliss tournaments. So this year will be interesting, and I should need to play more Title Tuesdays and practice my rapid and bliss also.
All right, so we're looking forward to seeing you in many more Titled Tuesdays, and congratulations again on winning. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, David. So that was a happy guy who just secured 10 more points for the standings.
Exactly. He plays with a smile on his face. It's nice to see him in the interview as well, clearly enjoying it. It's nice to hear him say he'll play more Title Tuesdays as well, despite the packed year. And yeah, what an inspiration. Just 20 years old. So calm, so happy, enjoying the process, loving life as a professional. And I'm happy to see him win. I think it was deserved today. It was solid. He didn't play some of the top guys. He didn't play Magnus Hikaru, but he did what needed to be done. That was the key. And 9.5, we've decided is the magical number. That seems to be the score you need if you want to win Title Tuesday. Yeah,
especially when there are almost 400 titled players playing against each other here, and a really strong field today. So very impressive of him to rise above big names. We had all the top 5 players in the world participating, and maybe we can take a look at the standings now that we have gotten Sindarov up here. Just with this one win, he suddenly shoots up into 8th place on the standings.
Yeah, and a good week as well for Denis Lazovic with that rise at the end. Heartbreak for Sorana, who looked like he was going to maybe win the tournament until the very last round, only gaining the 1 point this time. But so much can change in 1 week, and that surely is going to only inspire the top players to continue playing, continue taking their chances in that race for the Esports World Cup.
And very rarely do we see that Magnus didn't get any points this week, and Duda as well. Like, these were guys that were doing really well. Hikaru, these were players that were like in the top, on the top boards for most of the tournament, and they didn't manage to get any points this week. So even more impressive and even more important for some of these players like even Kamer and Lazovic to get some points this week. And then we can take a look at the Champions Chess Tour standings overall and see that Magnus, of course, on top, followed by Hikaru, the 2 biggest names of internet chess, of course. And here we actually don't have this week's winner on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's why he might be inspired to play more. He said it. He kind of focused on other things. He was busy at the World Cup, of course, for 1 whole month, Sindarov. But now he's back at Title Tuesday. He's back winning. He's going to get that hunger. Magnus and Hikaru both actually lost the last round today. So not a great week for the favorites.
Yeah.
But opening up the field is always a good thing.
And let's take a look at one of the moments from today when one of the favorites didn't live up to what we expected of him.
Yeah, and this was a game against Nodibek. And a repeat, of course, from the World Blitz final just 2 weeks ago. And it was Nodibek with revenge on his mind who turned it in his favor, kicking away the white rook, first of all. It's a very blocked position. Knights better than bishops. And a pin on the white bishop was the key. Magnus had to go into full retreat mode. And we saw Nodebek go from being 1 pawn up to a lot more up very shortly. He, after forcing the white king back with that pin, stepped back with his rook to get the white knight. And yeah, it looked very smooth from there. Magnus just too slow. And again, in the endgame, somehow just getting outplayed. Just not his day, the world number one.
Yeah, and he didn't even seem to be that affected by it. He just said, like, I just got completely outclassed. And I feel like Magnus very rarely experiences that and then, like, admits it immediately. So it was that was unusual to see.
Yeah, refreshing honesty. But yeah, very unusual to see. And I think full credit to Nodebek for being able to do that on the board. He went for an endgame, took the queens off on move 10, and just slowly outclassed Magnus. And yeah, he helped out Sindarov in the process.
And we've been discussing today, David, whether or not Magnus is the greatest of all time. But it's almost kind of nice to see that sometimes when Magnus doesn't have his best day, then there are other young players that'll rise to the occasion.
Exactly. He's still human. Like,
yeah.
Even the best players can have an evening off, have a couple of hours of struggle. But there are a new generation approaching, trying to catch him in a few years' time. Maybe they'll close the gap even more. I don't know what our audience said today. I don't know if we had a poll, but ultimately Magnus, one of the GOATs, definitely.
And it's very fun to watch the young generation and the older generation clash in these Title Tuesdays. So I hope you guys will join us next Tuesday when we are back. Thank you for watching today.
You should try and get this game drawn here and now, but he's blundered. He's allowed the black pieces to come in. Magnus's king was too far away.
That was completely and utterly unnecessary.
Hikaru keeps having to check the white king, and oh, there's a big blunder from Deak. Oh, there were better moves there.
Tough game. Probably got a little bit lucky. I mean, I definitely got lucky. Like, I was cooked out of the opening, right? Oh!
Now he's down to less than 10 seconds, and Magnus, for the first time, actually has a better position now in the entire game.
Imagine that. He was down a pawn for nothing. Now he's got a bishop and 3 pawns for a rook, and Liam Lei runs out of time. Oh, mistake from Magnus. Now much better for black. Abdusattorov leaning back and gets the win.
Okay, I was outclassed in that game.
Here we go.